Good morning from the greens of the North Country Golf Club. Bob Venn. The program is called What's Going On Here, and we're happy this morning to be here with three of the members of the golf club. I guess we call it think they're members. We're going to find out who they are and why we're here. The one person I have talked to, and we'll start off with him, is Jim Daly to my right, and I'll find out why I was talking to you, Jim. You're not the owner here.
No, I'm not. I'm the manager.
You're the manager. That means what, Jim? You're the man. You manage the restaurant as well as the everything here?
I have overall management of all of it, yes.
And you've been here how long?
This is my 6th year.
Okay, before that, Jim Daly's been supervisor, he's had a store, he's worked with the brokers. Tell us a little bit. Where are you from, Jim? Originally?
Originally Syracuse, New York. I come up here in 1956, was nabbed by a very beautiful lady, and she held me here for the last 33 years. As a matter of fact, it's going to be 33 years Sunday.
What's her name?
Marilyn Gooley.
Yeah, right across from the Kimpex building, give or take a few feet, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how'd you get here in the first place? Why were you coming to Champlain for her to nab you?
Well, I spent 13 years in the Air Force, and I was down in Plattsburgh.
Oh, okay.
And I happened to come up here to bring a friend of mine up one day, and I happened to meet Marilyn. And just flipped, I guess. Okay, now, one of your first jobs that you bought the store, or you started the store? No, the first thing I did when I got out of service, I worked for Sheridan Ironworks. And I worked there until I went into the brokerage business. I worked in the brokerage business for a few years, and then I opened my store and went into my own business.
Okay.
And I operated that for a few years, and then we went back into the brokerage business. And then come available for me to operate the golf course, and I jumped at the chance. So this is what been my home for the past 6 years.
Okay, you were supervisor how long, Jim?
For 2 years, 1974 to 76.
Okay. His store, of course, was right across from the old Harris building. There later it became Blub's, and well patronized there. And okay, now who have we got here to my left? Jim, we have Jim Favreau.
Correct.
It's a great name.
Bob.
It's a great name around here, Jim.
Yes, it is.
Tell us a little bit about Jim Favreau. Your position with the golf club?
Okay, I am currently president of North Country Golf Course and serving one of 7 board members of the North Country Golf Club. There are 7 board members, and of those 7, then there are 4 officers out of that: a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer.
Okay, is there a different name for an organization other than the golf course?
No, this is the North Country Golf Course.
Golf course.
Yep.
Is the incorporated?
North Country Golf Club, Inc.
Inc. All right. Okay.
Incorporated name, I believe, back in 1936,
okay.
as I so know it.
How long have you been president?
This year.
Oh, you're brand new.
Newly elected, yes.
So you and I here are right in the beginning.
Yeah. I should say that prior to this, I was off the board for 1 year. The 6 years prior to that, I was the treasurer for the golf course for 6 previous years.
Any member here, no matter whether you're from Vermont, Canada, the county, outside the county, all are member of the course, and you all vote for these officers?
That's correct. That's correct. There's an annual meeting where the board is elected, and there are generally 2 4-year. There are 1 year, 2 year terms, 4 year terms, and they come up in a rotation type affair, as many organizations operate under that type of scenario.
Many organizations, when you become a president, something you go on for years. Is this likely here, or is it turn around quite
not
often?
Too likely. Probably president 2 years, I would think, is generally the longest. There may have been one 3 years, and going back in history, I probably couldn't tell you, but we'll get into that a little bit further.
Okay, you're from Champlain, New York, right?
Correct.
Born and raised?
Correct. Born and raised.
Your father and mom are?
Edward and Eva Favreau, both from Champlain, now residing in Rouse's Point, but longtime residents of this area.
Okay, and how long have you been a member of the club?
I would say about 15 years.
Okay. You play a lot of golf?
I don't think so, but my family does.
And what is your, I like that, what is your work background? I know you're working for a customs broker also?
That's
it's okay
correct.
to use the name, by the way.
That's correct. For the Myers Group.
Oh, the Myers Group. One of the come lately?
No.
Not really.
It's another firm that's been around 1860, I believe.
Yes.
It's date of origin. And I've been with them for 25 years. I must have started when I was 12.
Yes, I was going to say that. All right. Okay, and we have another man to my right over here, probably the one I know or most, or at least I see more, or used to see more than anybody. Dennis Norton from Ellenburg, New York.
Ellenburg,
come along.
That's right, man.
Come a long way to play golf, Dennis.
There's no course in Ellenburg.
All right. Well, Dennis, of course, worked with me, and we worked at least in the same buildings up there, same complex at U.S. Customs. You were there how long, Dennis?
About 25 years.
Where are you from in your background?
Well, originally, for 40 years, we've lived in Ellenburg. So they say after you live in a place 30 years, you're a native.
All right.
So it's going on 40 years we've been in Ellenburg. So everything before that sort of fuzzy.
Okay.
Endicott, Ithaca, and Army, but then we ended up in Ellenburg, and that's where we have been for 40 years now.
Your background, I understand, way back was to be a teacher. You started as a teacher?
That was the original plan, but then we changed over and went to work for Customs eventually and stayed there.
You became a learner rather than a teacher there, huh? And you retired when, Dennis?
8 years ago?
Oh, gosh, the time flies.
8 years ago.
I retired 4 years ago. All right, and what is you're an officer, obviously, or a director?
I'm a director on the board of directors.
Board of directors, okay. Who else is on the board of directors? Can you give me some, and you give him the names he don't give me, Jim?
Well, Don Speck from Canada. Audrey Gregoire is the secretary. Pat Welch is the vice president. Bob Rebaudou is the director. Andy Morelli.
All right.
Andy Morelli is the treasurer.
Okay. Now, let's get into the history of the golf club. We know who we're talking to now out there. I'm sure you've seen these faces, and you may know some of the information you've heard. How long has there been a golf club here, or I should say a golf course, in this corner? Who we start with? Jim, can you give me that history? We've got some papers in front of us here, various papers that have come up.
I have one paper here that's dated December 31st, 1934.
Right.
And it's a financial report of the Town of Champlain Golf Course Project. So they started this project early 1934, but I believe that the golf course just started itself and it was built in 1936.
That's correct. If I may add,
yes, go ahead.
Let's take it back just a little bit further. According to some documentation that we researched and reviewed, for those old historians in the town, and I've seen you do quite a few of those, Bob, very well, I might add.
Thank you.
The property was originally, that was owned by Ebenezer Stearns in the year 1887 is the first documentation that we have on it. And then George Weston supposedly purchased the Stearns farm, and little trivia, moving his wife and 10 children to the site, okay? That's the way it's so phrased there, okay? And the youngest of 7 boys and 3 girls was Andrew Weston. And Andrew became what is known as the club's founding father because, in fact, he donated the property to the town to be used as a golf course. In fact, I believe all contracts with the town carry that clause that at any time that it is not a golf course, it would revert to the town, of course, regarding all legal issues.
All right. Now, Andrew Weston, we've heard of before. I've talked with Peg Barcombe and so forth. He had to do with the bridge.
I believe so.
I think he was the contractor in building the bridge between Rouse's Point and Vermont.
It seems that's what I've heard also.
And was the contractor. You know, someone was mentioning how come we get more and more houses in our township, in our villages here, Rouse's Point, Champlain, Morris, and there's less and less people in the population. It must be a mistake. You just read here, this part of this, as to why you didn't have as many places, but you had a lot of people, because there aren't many people today who have 10 children, right? And because of that, now you have 2 and 3. We each have 1. I have 3 children. You have 2. You have 2 and 4. Oh, okay, here. He keeps the population going. For that reason, that probably those counts are right. But 10 children, and it was in 1935, and I'm reading some of your stuff here, that the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration, with the WPA, constructed the first 9 holes.
Yep.
It continued as 9 holes for a long time.
That's correct, Bob. I believe it was not till 1972 that the additional 9 was added, and perhaps when we go out on the course, we could show you the definition of where that property is versus the other property.
Okay. The same golf course incorporated has been operating here ever since in the 35, 40,
That's
just
correct.
change of officers.
That's correct. That's correct.
And you operated with a 9-hole golf course, and you lease from the town.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, there's been recent articles in the paper not too long ago. You have a new lease. For a long period of time, you were leasing all the property, the 9 holes, and I guess the building, for $1 a year.
Okay. That's correct.
And then there's a new contract.
There was a 30-year contract that existed that was expiring this year, and it was for $1 a year.
Of course, it isn't to make money for the town. It's to provide a recreation area for our town, which, by the way, and I've told this to a lot of people out there, is very lacking. We're the biggest town with the biggest employers around here. We don't have a recreation center anywhere, except you could call that our golf course right here. Okay.
I agree with that.
All right.
By the way, we as members agree with that statement very much. If we can run a commercial for a minute, that's what you're saying. We really believe in that, Bob.
Okay.
This is a recreation center.
Absolutely. Now you have a new contract.
That's correct. We have a new 20-year contract that was worked on for the last year or so with some new arrangements in it because, in fact, let's go back to the town contract just a minute. Not so much the town fathers here were a problem with this. This was brought up by I believe it was the Regulation Audit Division of New York State, where it was kind of improper and incorrect to lease something for not a proper value. And I guess probably 30 years ago, that was not on the books. So anything that was grandfathered in like that became, let's say, a non-issue. But when the lease would expire, then you would have to readdress it and redirect it. So we have worked out the arrangement. It's been in the papers. I think everybody is well aware of it now.
Okay. Dennis, how long have you been a member?
I think about 10 years, Bob. Without getting exact.
You don't remember any other building that was here previously?
No.
All right. Jim, do you remember?
I think part of it's still out on the side here. They still use it for cart storage.
All right. Now, who builds the building? The town couldn't build it with $1 a year.
No, the club built
The club paid and built this building on town property.
That's correct. That's correct.
Which I can just see all kinds of legal problems. When you build a building on someone else's property, it's pretty hard to retain the ownership of the building. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Of course, your leases take care of that.
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's why we have the lease arrangement and also the taxes. Taxes have always been paid on the building too. Okay, when we were leasing this for $1 a year, there was taxes being paid on the building.
You pay the taxes,
That's correct.
Even though it's town property.
That's correct.
All
Okay,
right,
but
because it's leased.
the building was owned by the North Country Golf Course Club Inc. members. Okay.
Are you paying the building, not the property itself?
And all the outbuildings.
All the buildings.
Yes,
all right.
correct.
Jim.
And coming back to your question, the outbuilding still exists. That was the original clubhouse, which probably we can view later.
Okay. Now, I see a lot of tables here. We're here at the club this morning. It was 9 o'clock when we came in. There's people here that were eating. There's tables set up. Jim, what happens in here? It looks like a restaurant.
It is a restaurant.
Tell us about it.
I might add it's quite a fine restaurant also, but we could seat anywhere from 75 to 80 or 90 people at any time that any sitting. Now, we do have banquet facilities also where we have banquets for 150 people. At the present time, until such time as we do have a banquet, our cafeteria is set up like this. We have a bar with all legal beverages. We have a big kitchen staff, a good kitchen staff.
All right, let's take a break right here. Someone just came in, and we'll be right back to you. Calvin Castine on the camera, and you're watching Hometown Cable from the North Country Golf Course. Business taken care of. We're back to the golf course. Jim, you were telling us about the restaurant. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but you were telling us about your restaurant, and sitting 75 to 80 people go on from there. Don't worry about if you repeat something.
Okay. Well, we have very fine meals. We serve breakfast, of course. Our hours of operation during this month, they're from 7 at night until 7 in the morning until 11 at night. On weekends, we're open from 6 in the morning until 11 at night. Starting the 1st of June, our hours will be 6 to 11 every day. We, of course, have all of our customers coming in wanting to play golf early in the morning, have coffee or eggs, toast, so forth. We do serve breakfasts.
How many people work for the golf course?
There is a total with part-time help We have to have young people pick up golf balls, for an example, clean golf carts, and with everybody that works here, from the management down, it averages around 35 people per year.
Wow, I didn't realize you were that big of an employer. Yeah, that's
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I will have probably 9 to 10 waitresses. I have 4 bartenders. We have 5 people that work in the kitchen. I have a maintenance man that is here every day for the building maintenance. You have, presently there's 5 outside employees, or 6 outside employees.
outside.
6 outside employees. And then I hire young school, not too young, but young children, 15, 16 years old, that come and they help me park the carts in the evening, pick up the golf balls from the driving range, and keep the carts clean. We have some that do dishes when we have banquets. We have another little girl that sells hot dogs and hamburgers on weekends and keeps the line moving as people come across from number 9 to 10. They don't have to come in the clubhouse and order meals.
You have a wedding here occasionally? You have some banquets? At least you have in the past.
Yes, we do. We have banquets here. Most of our banquets are golf related.
Okay. Now, there's so many ways we can go here, but I can remember back when you had the 9 holes only, and that was from the tree line, I guess, all the way over to the road between Champlain and Rouse's Point. Now, there came a time when you purchased land, is that correct? The golf course, the
Yes,
incorporated, the corporation?
I believe back in 1962, I believe that the property was purchased for the additional 9. And like if we were to leave this premises and head towards Rouse's Point, it would be about halfway down on the Prospect Kill Road.
Okay.
And that was purchased in 62, and I believe without looking at something here, Dennis, do you recall, is it 60, what year was that finished? I'm sorry, 72.
It was finished in 72, it says.
I'm sorry, it was finished in 72. Okay, I think it was purchased later than 62. Okay, it was finished in 72. The new 9 holes, as the membership would refer to it.
So there's 18 holes.
That's correct. And what they did, rather than just if you had 1 through 9 on this side, those didn't become 10 through 18. They were kind of mixed together so that you could have a clean swing. And you go out 1 through 9. And then you end up back by the clubhouse, and then you go 10 through 18 and end up by the clubhouse. Again, we can cover that one.
So it's 4 times, down and back and down and back.
That is
really
correct. That is correct.
Okay. And how many members in the club now? Jim?
As of today, we have 485 adult members. We have approximately 92 junior and student members that will be coming before the summer's over with. We have put a cap on the membership here at 500.
I was just going to ask you, do you want to go on? No, you don't need.
I have a waiting list of approximately 119 people waiting for membership in the golf course. But when you get above the figure of 500, then you start having problems with people being able to go out and play when they want to play. The workers, when they get off from work at 4:30, would like to swing by and play 9 holes before they go home. And you just have too much of a problem when you have too many people.
But it is a public course. Anybody can come during the weekend for green fees.
Yes.
Or any other time.
Yeah, well, we have tee times that they must abide by. During the month of June, July, and August, you have to call for tee times every day of the week. Now you have to call separate times for tee times for the weekends. We allow people, our members, to call in on Thursday morning. At 7 o'clock, they could call for tee times for the weekends and any holidays during that week. And on Friday morning, we have room for non-members to call in.
I got relatives out there that won't know what you mean by tea time. What's that mean? It's not like you're going to eat or drink something. Tell them what a tea time is.
Okay, tea time is basically you come in and you say, okay, you're going to get a tea time for 10 minutes after 7 in the morning. So at 10 minutes after 7 in the morning, your foursome will be down on the first tee and ready to tee the ball off to start their game.
Just to explain, tee times were probably put in about 5 years ago at this facility, so it shows how the golf enthusiasm has grown, in particular this area. 5-6 years ago, everybody would just show up, and everybody is a weekend golfer.
Yeah.
So on a Saturday and Sunday morning, it became kind of I'm first. No, I'm up next.
Yeah.
So what you do is you organize it by phone calls or taking tees at the door, as you would say, and you say, okay, Jim Favreau has a tee-off time at 7 o'clock. let's say Dennis Norton has a tee-off time at 7:07. We run them, I believe, every 7 minutes is what you take them, right, Jim? And so that way there you have an organized departure, and a foursome of golfers is what it is also, okay? Generally are expected to tee off within 7 minutes, and the next one will be up, and you, in effect, play on 9 holes in approximately 2 hours. So if you gauge it all out, that's how it's all metered, Bob, for a non-golfer. It's rather elementary for a golfer, but for a non-golfer, if you said nobody would understand.
It sounds very complicated, but with Albert running it as starter, it really does work.
Albert's the starter. Albert Morelli's the starter. Now, if there's 18 holes, and there's 4 in a group, you could have up to 72 people on the course at one time? Or more?
Probably more than that.
More, because they're in between greens, right?
Yeah.
All right.
144 people you could
At least.
If you would work this and have this going every 7 minutes, and if you started the tee-off times at 6 o'clock in the morning, by approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you would have put out 256 people. We've checked it all out, okay? You've got to know these things as a golf course, what you're doing. So they wouldn't be finished playing. They would have gone off the first tee.
But remember, there's 500 in the golf, in the membership, so they aren't all going to play the same day.
No, that's correct.
It's physically impossible.
That's correct.
Now, Dennis, I heard Jim mention 95 students and or younger people. Now, obviously, that's where you get your feeder from, and it gives something for the younger people to do. There's a golf team locally here. Ellenberg have a team? No. All right. So
I think this school has a team, or Champlain, the NCC has a team, and they play here. And this year, the junior program is going to be run by Kathy Barcombe, and we're looking forward to great things from her. She has plans, and some of the directors have talked about trying to get some of the elder golfers who hang around here to help her, because we don't know how many children she will have involved in this program, and one person with 15 or 20 kids with golf clubs in their hand, you got a very lethal machine.
I guess so.
So as soon as she gets out of the children get out of school and gets formulated, we're hoping that, and we're sure that she will do a good job for us training these. Well,
You have an average of 40 to 45 junior children that come to this. What happens when the school lets out and the children start coming out here? We have classes from 8 to 10 every Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And Kathy needs help to put these children in different groups. And this is how they take some of them down here on the practice tee. They take some of them over to the driving range. They take some out here to the putting range, and just different classes for different children every day.
Now,
I was just going to say, and we strongly support the young students.
Yes.
We feel that they're up and coming, and it gives them a place to be in the summer, along with the other programs that whether it's town sponsored or school sponsored. And we're very enthusiastic, and Kathy Barcombe has taken this on this year. We've had other young members who have handled this for us. Brian Bayshard as one, young Mike Zerlo, and they've spent a couple of years with the children, and we found that they know the game. They take interest in the game, and as you know, I think anyone, you've covered sports for years, as Calvin has behind the camera, and you know the younger the age when you start them, whether it's swinging the club, grabbing the basketball, grabbing the baseball bat, that it's more natural. When you try and take something up at an older age, it's more difficult. So again, we're just like every other sport, and we like to see the children here, and we certainly are enthusiastic about it.
yeah, very wholesome too.
Yes.
Kathy Barcombe, Mrs. Randy Barcombe, was quite a golfer, at least I can remember. You knew her parents pretty well, or know her parents pretty well, don't you? Tell us who her parents were.
Irving and Mildred McKittrick, who winter down in Florida. We just saw them a while ago, and in fact, Kathy and Randy were down visiting father-in-law, Frenchie Barcombe's house down in Venice, I think it is, and they went down to see them down there.
And you worked with Irving at Customs, a retired Customs officer also for many years. And All right, and Jim, you know all these people too. Have worked for the brokers.
You might add too. Kathy has been the women's club champ there the last couple of years. She is a very good golfer, and also daughter-in-law of Larry and Norma Barcombe. And Larry has been a past president of the golf course. One of many past presidents who have done a fine job.
You nearly mentioned a good golfer too. You didn't say that though.
About what, Larry?
About Larry.
Well, I play against him every Sunday, so I won't comment on it.
All right. So let's talk about monetary for a minute. What's it cost to start with for a man to come in here, or a man, woman, person to come in today, right off the? They would have had to call for greens, all right? Green
Tea time.
Tea time. All right. They got a tea time to come in here, and what would cost them to play 9 holes or 18 holes?
Well, first of all, we don't have a 9-hole rate until after 5 o'clock in the evening. But your rate for playing golf during the week, it's $18.
$18.
$18 during the week and $20 on the weekends. To rent a cart to go out with you, it's $16 during the week and $18 on the weekends.
What if I don't want to bring a cart?
You don't have to bring a cart. You could walk.
Oh, you can walk.
I am talking about when I say $18 for a cart. That's an electric cart. You can sit around and
take your ride. All right. Now, if you're not a good golfer, does it cost me more for more strokes than for fewer strokes?
Well, we'd like to try it. we would like to do that.
It won't cost any more.
No, the only problem we'd have is hiring somebody to go around and see how many strokes they take. Probably wouldn't make so much money.
Well, a lot of people probably. I thought maybe because they don't always count all their strokes, it costs more to play.
Well, if you get caught lying, we usually double the fee.
You know, there's a thing I've had in my file here for several years. It's kind of historic. It shows the golf course. And this is the menu here, and the bar, and I don't know how old it is. There's no date on it. However, in just going over this, the cost of dues in 1941, town of Champlain for the year, was $25, and outside town of Champlain men, $15. All women, $10. Now they're equal, and they're going to pay as much as anybody else. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what's the membership for dues now for a year for one person?
$374.50.
370
Plus tax.
$74.50 plus tax.
Ever make you wonder why it isn't 375 instead of 374.50?
Yes, I can explain that.
The tax brings it up to 400.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're talking 50 years, and it has gone up. I think 11 times. 11 times, 1,100%. The daily didn't say what the daily was. By the way, some of these facts that they've related, and the ones that are in here, I want to give credit to Peg Barcombe, Jerry Vanderbeek, Ann Powers, and Larry Kelly for the research to obtain these historical facts. It's in this bulletin right here.
Bob, I think going back on history, if we can just, since you touched on that again, I think just to, you said green fees in 1960 were $2 weekdays and $3 weekends, okay? We do know that, so that's another point.
That's 30 years ago.
But coming back to some of the let's say when the course was formed, there are a few people's names that probably will mean something to some of the people out there. I know I recognize them as being a native of the area, and I'm sure that some of these people in the audience will certainly remember the names. The nominating committee for the establishment of the course and established the first slate of directors. The nominating committee was F.G. Hogue, R.J. Chilton, G.A. Marnes, E.J. Quain, and F.W. Branch. They nominated the first slate of directors, and that slate that they voted on that was carried was Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Weston, Mr. and Mrs. H.T. Leonard, I don't know, P.P. Conley, W.R. Casey Sr., I certainly recognize that name.
Right.
And William F. Kennedy Sr., another very recognizable name in the area, as the others were. And that certificate of incorporation was adopted at that point, and this was in August 26, 1936. The financial report was presented, and they showed a balance of $500.72. And I would think in 1936 that was a hell of a lot of money.
It sure was a lot of money. We'll be right back. We're talking to the officers, directors, and manager of the North Country Golf Club in Champlain, New York, right between Champlain and Rouse's Point. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back, and you'll find out more about golf, and we're going to take a ride.
History?
Yeah, we should cover this.
Okay, now we're back, and some of the names that Jim was referring to here, and I should bring up because they were just recent here. F.G. Hogue is Frank Hogue, who just lost in the past couple of weeks here in the Rouse's Point area. R.J. Chilton, Ralph Chilton, is particularly important to me because he hired me to go into U.S. Customs and made my career here in U.S. Customs in this area and permitted me to be retired today and be here with these people. And talking about retirement, we didn't ask Dennis what he's been doing except go to Florida in the winter. What else are you doing, Dennis? Are you working at all? Any part-time work? Are you teaching?
Well, I was substituting at school for about 6 years, and then I got elected to the town board for 4 years, and now I'm just getting ready to go to Florida.
Yeah, so you like, all right. Looking over this one, it said that Eddie O'Connor was the first professional who runs a pro shop if you have one, gives lessons and arranges your course, fix it up. And it was followed a few years later by Walter Powers. Now, Walter Powers has been a big name in the Walter Powers family in this course. Jim, any comment you want to make about Powers?
I just know that the Powers, Mr. and Mrs. Powers, ran the golf course, I believe, according to the record, from 1943 to 1960. And again, that was out of the old clubhouse when it was a small 9-hole course, okay? And I know they were very, very active in keeping this course alive because I believe during that time let's say the golf play was very, very limited. I don't think it had the drive that and enthusiasm that it has today.
Who's your golf pro today?
At this golf course, we don't happen to have one. That's sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And at this golf course, we do not have a golf pro at this course. Okay,
Jim, who runs this pro shop? And the pro shop, you sell things like that, usually run by your pro, right?
Yes, it is.
And who does that here?
I do.
So you know enough about clothes and golf clubs to outfit me?
Yes, I think so.
You think so? All right. We'll go in there and you can tell us about cost and what does it cost to get. When I'm first starting to get, of course, when I first played golf here back in the 50s, I played some, and I didn't have a golf. All my clubs didn't even match, but I used to have fun coming up here, but mostly in the evening. Now you mentioned after 5 o'clock a different rate.
It's not necessarily a different rate, but it's we charge half price for 9 holes.
Okay.
And if you come in after
5 o'clock only.
Yeah, you can play 9 holes and pay for 9 holes.
I'd get as many strokes as a person would for 18, though.
Probably. So I should probably charge you an 18-hole rate.
All right, Jim, you have a picture here that I'm sure you want to comment about.
Okay, this is the original foursome that played on the opening day of the golf course.
The first foursome.
First foursome. I think here you have Mr. Kennedy.
That'd be on the left as on the right. What do we? On the left, reading from left to right, Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy. Then you have Frank Conley next to him. Mr. H. Leonard. And then the last one over here is Mr. Andrew Weston. And it was his family that donated the land for our golf course.
Who owns the picture? That belongs to the golf club?
This picture belongs to
Jim Kennedy.
Jim Kennedy, yes.
Young Jim Kennedy? All right.
Young Jim Kennedy. Yep. And I talked to him yesterday, and he dug this picture out for our viewing here on cable TV.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover on the history? Well, first of all, what about caddies? A lot of boys and girls, I guess, over the years have raised money by being a caddy.
Okay.
Do you still have caddies?
No, I think the days of the caddy are gone now. Most people, if they walk, they carry their own bag, or they have a pull cart that they can pull with them, or they get on a golf cart. So the days of having a caddy, I think, are just about gone. You would have caddies at a professional tournament, possibly, but not so on a golf course like this, or Bluff Point, or Adirondack.
Okay. Denny, were you ever a caddy?
No, very few golf courses have caddies. In fact, the last down in Pinehurst, number 2, you had to have a caddy. But even there, I understand they've allowed carts and gone into carts, because caddying today is you get into all kind of possible liability problems, workman's compensation problems, child labor problems, and besides that, people would rather drive their own cart.
Now, if you did not have carts on this course, you couldn't send somebody out every 7 minutes, could you?
Oh, yes.
Could
Oh,
you
yes.
still? You think
Oh,
so?
yes.
It's probably not quite as fast a play if everybody's walking. I think with the carts, it is certainly a little bit faster. It speeds it up, but you would still push them. And the let's say the experienced golfer will move along pretty fast. It would probably be the less experienced golfer who would probably not move quite as quick.
I just saw my Uncle Frank Manette come in over here, and I know he's got a golf cart. And what's a golf cart? If I were going to go out and buy a new golf cart for myself to play golf, what are we talking about in money?
$3,500.
$3,500. And it runs on 2 or 3 batteries?
Well, no, well, yeah, you can get electric, but what we're going to now are the gas carts, the 4-cycle engines with a roof and a windshield, and we have one cart here that looks like something that went to the moon. The curved roof. I mean, you can get them up to $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 if you want to pay.
Sounds like a toy for a man.
It is.
Huh?
Yeah,
It is.
You said it.
All right. Well, I see a lot of white ones outside here. Those belong to the golf course itself, right?
The golf course owns 31 golf carts that we use as rentals.
31.
Yes.
Right, now, once you use your cart starting today, can you go all day on one battery charge?
Well, these are all gas.
Oh, those are all gas also. Okay. My son has a gas one, an old one.
Yeah, we've seen it.
You've seen it. You remember it, huh?
Everybody has.
Everybody's seen that one.
Yeah.
It's the most unique thing out there. Okay.
I forget what he calls it. He's got a name for it. I think,
Buster.
I think he just had it painted, he said, and he was supposed to be here this weekend.
Yeah.
He was going to play last night, he told me. He came over, but it was raining at 4:30, so.
Only Bob's son.
All right. I don't like the sun that much to come out here and get burned during the day. All right. Jim, anything else while we're talking in here before we go on to someplace else that you'd like to tell us about?
The only other thing I think about is the pro shop. If you'd like to see
Yeah.
the pro shop,
All right.
we could get into that.
The time here now, it's 10 o'clock, and I see 3, 6, 8, 11 people besides ourselves in here talking, having a lunch or having a drink or something. You have a liquor license for all day?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have a porch outside. We'll look at that as we go around, where you can also sit out there. Not this morning. This morning's about 40 degrees, huh?
A little chilly.
Okay. Anything else, Jim, that you can think of right
not
now?
at-
What about Denny?
No, we'll go to the pro shop, and I think you'll see the equipment and the prices. And
Okay. Anything you can think of, Calvin, while we're in here? You're not a golfer, I don't think. I don't know where you'd find the time either to play golf, but you have a beautiful facility here. Have you any idea what this building cost? Can we talk about that? I mean, what do we talk about for an investment? You've got a lot of investment here.
I'm not sure what the original
Okay.
cost of this in the I believe it's appraised probably around 200 and a little over $200,000.
All right, all right.
So, but I wouldn't know the.
Okay.
I'm sure you know as cost escalates
Okay,
today,
yes.
it'd be hard to call
That
it.
takes care of that. Now, initiation fee. Someone mentioned here when we were off camera, initiation. Tell us about the initiation fee. What's that for?
Members of the golf course from the town of Champlain, of course, there is no initiation fee for the members from if they're from outside of the town of Champlain, we have a $200 initiation.
Shazy, Moores would be, okay. Or Canada, Vermont.
Vermont.
a one-time payment.
Yeah, one time.
One-time payment.
That's like the point when you get a loan from the banks, the privilege of getting it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, are the dues higher for people outside the town of Champlain?
No, they are.
Oh, so you compensate for that a little bit. Of course, we're paying taxes to maintain some of this ourselves in the town of Champlain.
That's right.
All right. Anything else in that vein, Jim, that you can think of?
No, I can't think of anything on that. That's a good point on the membership. The $400 that you do join, that includes your play for the full year. When a member does join the golf course, that's his membership for the year. That includes all of his green fees. I believe that question was raised a little bit earlier.
You have a family rate?
Yes, there is a family rate.
That's right. No,
Excuse me, not a family.
Husband and wife?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And a junior, what they call junior, has a much lower rate.
and a student is a little
Student
bit
is
higher.
even lower.
The rates for our golf club are $48 for a junior member. That includes tax. $190 for a student member. And a student member would be any child over the age of 16. You have a single membership, which is $400 a year, and a husband and wife membership is $660 a year.
Okay.
And that's our membership structure.
For you people who don't play golf, and you've heard green fees and you heard membership, let me just take a 15 or 20 seconds. If you're not a member of any golf club, you pay for the privilege of playing that day, and here it's $18. You pay during the weekend, $20 on the weekend. Now, if you are a member and you pay $400, you never pay a green fee. You play here as many times as you want, whenever you can get a tee time, and I like that. How about your tee time, and you don't pay at all? That all you pay for your food and your anything extra that you happens at the. What is the 19th hole, by the way, Dennis? I've heard of the 19th hole.
You're looking at it right down
up
there.
here. That's where the bar.
You're looking right in the middle of it.
That's one of the most popular.
Yeah,
huh?
that's where your uncle's sitting down there now taking care of it.
Let me ask you: a lot of people spend as much time in here as they do outside, don't they?
It would seem that
More
way.
so.
It would seem that way. Yes.
They bet more profit too. They've already paid to be out there, and now they're in here, right?
That's right.
It's not free in here.
No, well, it's a good spot to be. It's a meeting place, right?
Yes, it is.
Good, wholesome, clean fun here. All right, you're where at?
This is where everybody tells of their escapades during the day.
Oh yes, they tell about
How
their
they
great.
almost did this and almost did that.
And if they hadn't had that bad hole, they'd have been only 5 above par.
If they hadn't gone 5 inches in the sand trap, they would have had a hole in one, you know.
Okay, you're watching What's Going On Here. I'm Bob Venn, Jim Favreau, Jim Daly. This guy's name is not Jim, it's Dennis Norton. And we're at the North Country Golf Club, and we'll be right back, and we're going to talk more about what it takes to play golf and take a little ride. Please stay with us, and if you like this kind of a program where we're out here, we've been trying to do this for a couple of years, get out to the golf course, but they've been all very busy. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. You see the sign, courtesy of Pepsi up there. The green fees are listed, and the car rentals, weekdays and Saturday and Sunday, of course, because there aren't as many. There's more of them out, and everybody pays this rate?
No, we have, for memberships, if members want to pay for their cart rentals, it's $12.
But they get a discount?
They get a discount because they're a member. That's one of the benefits of being a member of the club.
Okay. Now, can you also rent, Calvin asked off, can you rent equipment to play golf if you happen to get here and you forgot
We do have rental clubs. We have carts, of course, for rent. We have pull carts for rent. We could get a guy going if you
Okay.
to go here. Yes.
Here we are in the pro shop, called the pro shop.
Yes.
I come in and I say, Jim, I got money, so don't worry about that, but I don't want to spend more than I have to, but I want to get outfitted here. I want to look good. I want to look like Dennis Norton. So what could you sell me in here? Where we start? We're going to start with clubs, right?
Well, let's start with the golf bag to put
Okay.
the clubs
Oh,
in.
all right. Okay.
We need a golf bag, and we have,
The type of things we're talking about here. All right.
as you can see, you have quite a variety of golf bags. This one here being a very expensive golf bag.
Leather to these here, all right?
Yeah, similar.
Okay, we're talking what range here? We're talking $65?
No, excuse me. but
That's
you're
not very...
You're looking at a club.
Oh, golly, I thought that was pretty expensive.
This golf bag right here is a $159 golf
Okay, but then I'll look like Dennis Norton. Now, if I want to look like Uncle Frank Manette, I'm going to go over to this one right here.
Oh, yeah, you get this one right here, and that's $55.
$55. He's somewhere in between. Okay, so we need that. And now, what is this?
Okay, this is an umbrella.
Oh, you mean people play in the rain?
Very, very seldom on my golf course do I allow it to rain, but one time when I'm not here, it will rain, so then you'll have to have an umbrella.
And they go out and play in the rain.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You got to love it.
A golfer is a golfer in any kind of weather.
All right.
Okay.
So then you'd have, all right, now we got the bag, we got
The umbrella.
the umbrellas. Okay. Then we got to get some clubs, right?
You'd want to close, okay?
Oh, wait a minute. Well, what about this? We better get something to put our bag on, right?
Okay, yes, there's a pull cart.
Okay. And we put our bag on here, then you can pull this along, and it's not going to be, in case you don't want to ride on the, there. Folds up for your,
Put
All
your
right.
bag on the golf cart, and you're all set.
and you can also put that in a,
When you store it, you got to know how to do this. Okay? Obviously, I don't.
okay, well, you're not out there playing, you're in here working.
There you go.
All right.
That golf cart sells for $100.
$100. Or you can rent the car for 5 times in a weekend. Same price.
That's right.
$100. Oh, you got customers in here. I'll let you go handle your customers. We'll be right back.
I have just a moment, please.
Okay. Here's a pair of shoes.
Soft Joy shoes, made by FootJoy.
Looks like something that Carrie Nutt would wear on track.
This, by wearing a shoe like this right here, it enables you to keep your foot solid and still while you're making your swing.
And
if you didn't have something like this, you could very easily twist an ankle,
okay,
hurt yourself in some sort of way.
He's a salesman, and what would you going to charge me for those? Anywhere from what to what?
It really depends. I would probably try to get twice what it's worth. However, for a pair of shoes like this goes for $68.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. All right. And you can't wear them when you're not playing golf because it makes some bad marks on your floor at home. Okay. Sure. And they're white, black, different colors.
Yes, different
all right.
colors, different sizes, and you also have different.
Oh, you got to have socks, right? To go with, you got to have special socks. What's FL? Oh, FootJoy.
Means FootJoy. Those
okay.
FootJoy socks, right?
All right. And sweaters. That's for ladies and men. Or jacket. You got to have a jacket on the morning like this morning.
Today would be the type of day you'd need a jacket.
What are we talking about in range? Give us.
That one right there is a $79 jacket.
Okay.
This is what they call a thinsulate, and believe it or not, you can wear that jacket in any kind of weather, Bob. And I've wore it below zero weather. I've wore a jacket like that.
I must mention while we're on here, I don't know if you read the paper here a year ago or a year and a half ago, when my daughter made the double eagle in Plattsburgh.
That's right.
A hole-in-one from a par 4, right?
That's right.
Yeah, she was very, very, one of the very few in the country.
Your daughter comes up here a couple times a year and plays golf here. We're honored to have anybody
Well,
that
she plays with the lawyers, I guess, and the lawyers, the judicial group. She's a secretary. All right, now we got to put some clubs in those bags, right?
I have various sets of clubs. I have actually 23 sets of clubs on display.
23 different.
23 different sets of clubs, yes.
Okay.
We have left-handed clubs. We have ladies' clubs. About any type of a club that you'd like. We have beginners' clubs.
What's the difference between a ladies' club and a man's club? Lighter?
Length and lighter,
length,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, the length of it would be a little bit shorter also.
All right. Now, for people out there who've heard people say woods and irons, what do they mean? Aren't they all iron?
No, you have 9 irons. Normally with the set you have 9 irons and you have 3 woods. Okay, now wood of course is your longer distance hitting club. You take the 1 wood, or the driver they call it, and you hit that off in the tee.
Okay.
A 3 and a 5 wood. You'd hit that from a different lie on the fairway or in the rough.
You can't use this?
Oh yes,
in place of it?
And a lot of people do use that. A lot of people don't even use a wood. However, the more skilled players will be able to use their woods and their irons appropriately.
Well, Jim, can't you use the same club twice? Why would you need 9 clubs?
Well, this again it depends on the distance that your ball lies, how far, and possibly how your ball lies in the fairway or the rough or whatever. Okay?
So you're telling me that you don't just swing easy and swing hard. You always swing the same way.
You always swing easy, right.
Okay.
Easy swing, the farther your ball will go.
And these are?
These are head covers to cover your woods.
Yeah, so that you can't leave this get out there all by itself, so someone came up with a cover you can buy to put on this, right? What would a set of woods run? You buy those separate from the irons. Let's say from your high to your low, approximately.
Okay, this one right here is a very good buy here. And you're talking, this costs $190.
All right, so you got $190 there.
You want to say hello to Father? Hi, Father. Yeah, you have $190 here
for three the woods, and then your irons could run you.
These irons right here that go with this set, they're priced at $600.
Well, you're talking well over $1,000 then to get outfitted without even having too much in here, right?
You could go more reasonable than that, but if you're a good golfer now, what I find with most golfers here, they come in the spring and they're not very good golfers, so they want a cheap club, okay? Then all of a sudden somebody says, well, if you had this club, you'd be a lot better golfer, so now we're in trading position, you see.
Okay.
You want to trade to
So you also have used clubs in here for sale?
Yes, I have a few used clubs, yes.
Now, I see some some balls here that are in a barrel, a whole bunch of them. It looks like they've been bleeding. Is that where someone hit that with red like that?
No, those are what you call range balls, Bob, and they're people come in and they'll buy a bucket of balls to go out and hit on the driving range. First of all, they do this, a lot of them, to loosen up. Of course, another one to try different clubs and see. Every day that you come out here, there could be a certain circumstance where you can't hit the club the same way you did the day before. So you need a little bit of practice to do it. And this is what they do. They run a bucket of balls to go out and hone their skills.
Okay, now there's a whole bunch of balls here in the in the cupboard, and they range from what to what? Say,
they range right around $5 to a sleeve to $10 a sleeve.
You know, many years ago I was playing with Lester Coopy here, back in the 50s, and we used to have the old number 2 that went down, number 1 rather, went down. When from number 2 we went down number 2, and every time I'd hit I was slicing off to the right into the woods and I was losing the ball. I'd take out another new ball, put it there, and I'd slice it and I'd lose it and go get another new ball. So Lester said, Bob, why don't you use a older ball, you know? Use a used one. I told him I never had one. Okay.
I can see why.
Okay, now, anything else that we should know about? You got to have a hat, right?
Yes, you have
And,
hats.
and it's got to say North Country Golf Club to be,
Certainly.
right?
Yes.
To be in style. We're
Yes.
talking $5.
No, you're talking $9.
Talking $9. 5 for the hat, 4 for the emblem.
Just
All right. All right. North Country Golf Club. See?
Yep.
It's on, we try to keep it on there because you're advertising. You got to have a T-shirt, right? What do you call these?
These are shirts. No,
Shirts.
these are golfing shirts.
Golfing shirt.
Yep.
$30. So you're not talking an inexpensive sport. Of course, if we were talking about boats, they got some pretty expensive things too,
Certainly.
right?
That's right.
We talked to Bucky Blair when he used to have a boat in Champlain. You're talking money too.
That's
You're
right.
talking into boats. All right. Anything else? All part of the game here. Tees. Oh yes. You got to have a tee. What are tees?
Okay, a tee is a little wooden structure that you use to set your ball on when you hit it off the tee. Okay, this is the only time you use.
There we
this.
go, right over there.
Over here.
Well, that's handy because you get all the way along and you get some soft ground. You put your ball on top of there, right?
That's right. You do that. No, not all the way.
Oh, not all the way around?
You do that only when you tee off.
In the
After
beginning.
that, you cannot use the tee.
And you can't move the ball either,
No,
right?
You can't, you're not. They have winter rules sometimes where you can move the ball 6 inches either way from.
Okay. And what is this?
This is a glove that you would use. If you're right-handed, you would have a left-handed glove. This,
You sell them individually?
yes,
Aren't there?
they're not. They do not come in a pair.
Oh, they don't. They're no
No,
pairs. Only
no.
for one hand.
Only for one hand. You use this to get a better control of your club.
All right. And of course, you can get a better glove as you progress during the year when you get to be
Oh, yes.
better, right? All the things you got to get better.
Everything that we have in here gets better as you get better.
Don't mean to be kidding you golfers out there, but of course, golfers are so important. I remember here when I used to play golf a little bit with Russell Hutchinson, and Russell had a $185 bag and $400 golf clubs or something, and mine I think cost me a total of $30. And whenever he'd get on the green and I'd talk, he'd say, "Quiet on the green." And we used to take these weighted balls. You ever see the weighted balls? We'd put them on the green, and when you hit them, they kind of flop and go all over like this. And Snut Tremblay, we used to take and give him a plaster of Paris ball and when he was teeing off, and it would shatter. Of course, they didn't like me because I was always fooling around up here. They wanted to be serious, And people go out there all by themselves to try to beat their best score, right? They can go out there, and I never...
I always beat my score when I go out by myself.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's very easy to do. We'll be right back. We're at the North Country Golf Club in courtesy, of course, here of Jim Daly, the manager this morning, who's been showing us around the pro shop. And Jim, seriously, now, do you want to tell me anything about your pro shop that sell a lot of stuff?
We do sell a lot of merchandise, yes, and I might add that we are probably the most competitive organization in the North Country.
What do you mean competitive?
Well, you have 2 different pro shops in the city. You have different golf clubs, and we could be quite competitive with our
You're talking about your
merchandise.
prices are good.
Yes.
As
yes,
well as
they
I'm
are
talking
very
about a $30 shirt, which is I'm not used to paying. Mine don't say North Country Golf Club, but they're very competitive. Your prices
yes,
are very,
yes,
are not.
very com-
We
and,
haven't.
And most of our merchandise does have our emblem on it also.
Okay. You have tournaments here, right?
Yes,
how
we
many?
do.
About how many tournaments would you have in the course of a year?
This year here, we're cutting our tournaments down a little bit, but I think we average right around 30 tournaments a year.
30.
30 tournaments, yes.
So these could be like the Elks Club. Could they come up here, right?
Yes,
Run their
yeah,
own tournament. Yeah, but they take care of everything. Just
No.
use your ground, or do you do that?
No. They have to coordinate everything through us.
Oh, I know that, but I mean they do most of the work. No, they don't.
No,
You set up
no.
on tea times and
Yes.
do all that here?
Yes, we do
Oh,
all that.
you do most of the work here. All right.
Yeah.
Now, you have places where you pay so much. I think there's one this weekend. $50 for the week. You go there and you pay $50. That gives you a green fee. I don't know if it gives you a cart, food, and chances for prizes, right?
Yes.
You have to buy the prizes? Are they donated prizes, or?
Some organizations have some prizes donated to them, and other ones they purchase from the pro shop here. You know.
30, that's at one every weekend.
Yeah,
Can you
you
get
do
right
have
there?
some during the week also. You know?
Okay.
I mean, it's not just the weekends. You do have some during the week. We have leagues that go out here. We have 7 different leagues in 5 days that go out, and these people usually have a tournament. You know, so there's 7 tournaments right there just for your leagues.
Boy, it's a good thing they're customs brokers, I'll tell you. They get out here and they swing that club, and the Myers Group and the Transborder. I just saw Larry Kelly here. He's not a director now. He has been in the past. I saw Art Vanderbeek was here, a retired customs. Between the teachers and the customs and the heiress and what was the other one I was going to say here? The brokers. They cover a lot of your members, huh?
They certainly do, yes.
Do you have a lot of Canadians?
Yeah, about 37% of our membership is Canadian.
That many, even with
That's
the
right.
Hemmingford Golf Course.
That's right. Yeah, our prices, of course, are very competitive. You
Yeah.
can see that what
Yeah.
we have. But no, about 37% of our membership is Canadian. I would think that about 70% of our greens fees are Canadian.
Is that right?
That's right.
Dennis, off camera there. What about this one up in Altona, Irona area? Is that going to take place, you think?
All I know is what I read in the paper.
You don't know any more about that than I did? Was the picture was in the paper again the other day, I see,
was?
huh?
No.
I have a picture of the, I think North Countryman had
The
a...
one they're going to build up in Jericho?
Yes, yes, that sounds like big
of luck.
plans, huh? Yeah,
Lots of luck.
yeah, big plans, but... Okay, we're going to go outside, I guess, with somebody, and we're going to... Oh, there's a keychain with a golf ball. You can't put that in your pocket and hide it.
That's my invention.
That's your invention?
Yes, it is.
Did you make those here?
I make them, yeah. I go down and I bought a couple of little eye screws and stuck them in there and
Clever.
got some key
Clever.
rings and
Yep.
there we
Clever.
go.
Golf lighters.
Yes, golf
I mean,
ball.
there's everything there is, you see. Okay, we'll be right back. Please stay tuned to the North Country Golf Club. Bob Venn, what's going on here? Calvin with the camera, Jim Daly, Jim Favreau, and Dennis Norton behind me. We're outside where the weather has really changed since yesterday, and we have a new. I was going to say, I nearly said a new character here, a new person in our play. Andy Morelli from.
Now you try that again.
See, I'm just checking myself. Albert Morelli.
That's better.
I saw he was having breakfast with his son earlier. Albert Morelli,
Right.
one of our. I can't say trustees. You're not a trustee.
Councilman.
Councilman in the town of Champlain. Just recently. Council person, congratulations again for being. We've talked to you back just after the Legion fire that last time we had you on TV. And what do you do here, Albert?
Well, I'm the starter and part-time ranger. This is the 7th year I've been here.
Yeah, now you're an
That's
employee of the course, right?
Mhm.
Of the all right.
All right.
And what do you do here?
Well, come on around and I'll show you.
Okay. There's a building out here. This is his vehicle, a Yamaha here.
That's mine.
Okay. Okay, we're inside of your domestic place here. What do we got?
Well, this here, Bob, is a starter shack. When people call in for starting time, like we usually have it right now on Saturdays and Sundays, but this weekend we're going to have it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because Monday is a Canadian holiday.
Okay. Now they call and they get you?
No, what they do, they call. Now, if you're a member,
Yes.
you call in at 7 o'clock on Thursday morning, and they will take your name and give you a starting time on the list. If you're a non-member, you call in on Friday, and you can get a starting time.
Okay.
Now, like if you call in on Thursday and they say, well, Bob, we got an opening at 9 o'clock, okay, 9 o'clock, your name will go down there. When you get here at 9 o'clock, I have a PA system right here. It goes to the clubhouse outside here. I'll call Bob Venn
Right.
on the pad. You pull up
Okay.
here with your threesome or foursome. You cannot go out a twosome
You can't. Okay.
when we have starting time.
Okay.
So you'll pull up here to the pad. I look down here to see if number 1 tee is clear. If they're gone, then I'll say Bob Venn
Okay.
on the tee.
And my group, wherever
And
with
your
me.
group,
Okay.
right.
You don't have their names necessarily.
No, just yours.
Okay, all
Just
right.
yours. You take care of your own group.
Uh-huh.
Then I'll call the next group out, see?
Okay.
And that's what the starting
Now,
list is all
you
about.
said that a member calls on Thursday, he gets a better choice. But what if he don't make it? He decides Friday he wants to play. Can he call Friday?
He can call
He don't
Friday,
get as good a
yes.
choice. That's
Yeah,
all right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, another thing I do, if you're a member, and I'll give them priority. Now, say you don't call Saturday for Saturday time or Sunday time, but you come up here to the window Sunday morning and say, hey, Al, if you got an opening, I'll put your name down on that pad right there.
Okay.
And I'll say, Bob, go sit in the clubhouse. The first cancellation I get, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
You know, because sometimes people will call and cancel out.
If they don't call, but it's past their time, that the same as cancellation?
If they
Aren't here in their
call,
starting time.
if they don't call, I mark them down right here, no show.
Yes.
Now, if we get too many of these no-shows, see, we've got people that will put time down on the starting sheet just to have their names down there.
Yeah.
And it's taking away time from somebody else.
Yes, exactly.
So if we get too many of them, I report them to the committee,
Yeah.
and they don't get starting time no more.
Okay.
Now, if they called in, I'll put, let's see, I might have one here. Yeah, called out. So he called in, see.
Okay.
So that left me an opening for somebody.
Okay.
So you got to stay ahead of them all the time.
So you spend a lot of hours in here on the weekend.
Oh, yes.
You're right here all those hours.
Well, when we're really busy, I'm here at 5:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning.
Well, hey, I've been here at 5:30 in the morning and see people coming up number 9 here.
Wow.
I have to go out and check, make sure if they're members or if they're green
Wow,
fees. And if
wow,
they're green
wow,
fees, I make them stop and buy a green fee. Otherwise, they get away with it.
What are these things for?
Well, when we have tournaments and stuff, people have different things like nearest to the pin.
Yeah.
We put that out on one of the greens.
Right. Okay.
The one that gets the nearest to the pin.
Okay.
Then we also have the longest drive.
Yes.
We put them out on one of the long fairways for longest drive.
Mm-hmm.
This right here, like if we have a Calcutta going out at night,
Mm-hmm.
I put 2 of these signs right on each side here, and about an hour before I'll close off the front 9. So nobody can go out there. It's open for them.
I bet you when you drive by this, there's a name for this road, and I don't know what it is right now.
Hill Road.
Prospect Hill Road. You didn't realize that it isn't just a matter of cutting the grass and hitting the ball. There's an awful lot of work, a lot of planning goes on behind here.
Yeah.
And it takes people like I nearly said Andy again, Albert. Albert.
Call me Andy again, I'll belt you one.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, it'd be the best compliment you had if I called you Andy.
Now, this here's another thing I have to watch. Now, see, when they buy a green fee in the
Okay,
clubhouse...
Put this here so they can
No,
see
they're
it,
over
yeah.
here, yeah. When they buy a green fee in the clubhouse, there's 3 copies, a white one. Jim keeps the white one. I give the people that are playing the yellow copy, and I keep the pink one.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you notice on here, they got the green fees, and they've got the car rental, and the clubs. Now, these here are rental clubs. See? Like, if you haven't got a set of clubs, you can rent a set for the day. But now, if you rent a cart, when you pull up here, I'm going to ask you what number of cart you got. I'll put down the number of cart and the time you take off. 4 hours you have out there. After 4 hours, if I see that cart ain't back in, I go out and look for it.
Okay.
Because you can rent a cart for 18 holes, that's it. But you can buy a green fee and play all day.
Okay. Grab this second here. Yeah. Now, there's something else here that's a little unusual to be in a golf course in a starter. You know. Now, do you mean when you got someone to start, you fire off a bullet or something?
Last one we had what they call a shotgun start. Now, if you're having a Calcutta, what they do, they put maybe 2 teams on number 1, 2 on number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I go down there number 3. If they say that they're going to start at 5 o'clock, I'm down there before 5 with one of these. I fire a shot up in the air, and they all start together.
I'll tell you here, this is an experience and a learning lesson for me today too. Things have changed a lot since I last played golf back in the 50s. I haven't really played much. I would go out once in a while with my brother-in-law when he comes up from Texas, but I just don't care for the sun out there.
Oh, your daughter comes once in a while.
I know my
see her
my
here.
daughter Barbara is a
Yeah.
great, loves to play. My daughter-in-law Neil and Tom, both of those families live for golf. Oh yes.
Bob, that also keeps our members in line.
Yeah. Do the members wear a pin or something to show that they're a member?
So they have a bag tag.
Tags like this on their bag.
That
See,
means
that
they're a
helps
member
us
right
out.
there? Oh, sure it does, of
Yeah.
course, yes.
Now, if we're out there riding around ranging and we see a tag on the back like that, we know they're a member.
Okay,
And the reason why we make them keep the yellow copy, if we're in doubt,
yeah.
we'll go up and ask them for their
And
green.
if you have one of those, Albert will smile at you, right?
That's right.
And if they don't, you say, move along, your green feed's got to get going.
That's right.
All right.
There's a lot to watch out there.
I'm sure there is, yes. So are you more or less like the conductor once they get started? Or who else works out there during the day?
Roger Bombardier works here with me and Bill Bride,
Okay.
part-time. And what happens, they're out there, and you see I have a radio here, and I have one on my golf cart, and
Yeah.
Roger's got one on his. If anything happens out there, they have any trouble, they call me and I go out and help them.
Do you have much problem with anybody arguing, fighting? Do you ever have to settle any arguments out there? Not
They're
really?
pretty decent. Yeah.
Okay.
Once in a while, like one, I think it was last year on number 14, we had a gentleman, an elderly gentleman, got stung by a bee in the morning, and he keeled over going up the fairway.
Ooh.
And we also had another gentleman right here on 18 that had a heart attack.
Wow, yeah.
So, communication, see,
Yes,
I have a phone
yes,
here,
yes.
I can get right through.
Okay.
Then we had another gentleman that was playing with his buddy, and he missed a putting with a putter like this. He got mad and he threw his putter, and he hit his buddy right in the shins here and cracked all his shin bones.
Oh, now,
Oh yeah.
now, is this, North Country, this is your scorecard that you're given here, and you keep track of your various, on each of the holes. North Country Golf Club, Jim Daly, General Manager, and this is the other side. It talks about the Bluff Point. They have an ad on here, I guess, in the Genesee, and different people are paying for this by their little ads on here, and the rules of the course. And they've come big time. When I was here, they didn't have these. We had a little tiny white thing. I don't know if it had a name on it. We're going to be going out and getting on some of these carts, and thanks for watching. We're talking with Albert Morelli, the starter. He's also a finisher.
He got it right that time. Hooray for him!
Before we take off on our ride, Jim Favreau is going to show us a little bit. You see, there's the little road going to show us where we're going and where number 1 is and so forth. We're coming out of the clubhouse right over here to our right, and where do we go from there, Jim?
Okay, first of all, you would head right down here to the path, and where you see the first little white barrel right here would be number 1 tee. Okay, and if you look straight out and look for a flag down there, it would be just to the right of the water that you see.
Yes.
You would see an elevated green, and that would be number 1 green.
Okay.
And you can watch as you can see as you look off in the distance, you could see the road would go, and you would have number 2 green to the left. If you look out on a far sand trap by the tall rows of trees, that would be number 2. Okay. And in fact, that tall row of trees would be town property, everything to the west of there, and then North Country Golf Club, Inc. members' property to the east of there, Bob. In fact, and we'll define that when we get down there, if you would.
All right, so you're going to put a ball up here.
That's
You're going to hit that ball, and where that flag is, you got how many? That a par 4?
That's a par 4. The first
you got to
one
put
was-
that seems pretty technically impossible to hit that little hole in 4 swings.
Yeah.
You know?
Want to try it? I'll bring my phone.
No. Then you.
The first,
I mentioned something inside, and you commented after we got to clear it up. I mentioned that the town people don't pay initiation fee because some of their money's in here, and then that is not completely correct. Explain what I might have implied.
This course is really, everything is run and maintained by the members. Okay, there is no tax dollars that are spent on this. The course is run and maintained. In fact, it's a non-profit organization. Everything is poured back into the course, to the clubhouse. Carts, everything. It's like any other business.
No expenses for the town.
No,
Let me rephrase my statement. Because I'm a town member and I own this ground,
that's correct.
I don't pay an initiation fee. That's better?
That's very correct, Bob.
All right.
I appreciate you bringing that
Okay, so
comment.
we go all the way down and we come back where? This over here or here?
Yes. No, we would continue on, and you would end up, certain holes are straight, certain holes have dog legs, what they refer to them as.
What's a dog leg?
A dog leg, as just the way a dog leg bends, so it would be a dog leg left or right, depending on which way they chose to design the course, okay? So you would head up on out to 3, 4, 5, and then you would be right down by Dave Bogart's, and you would come back up and start by the edge of the road, coming up to 7, 8. Number 8 tee would be right in front of the row of trees again, heading back up all the way up. Number 9 tee would be down here by these huge fir trees. Okay. Number 8 green would be mound right in front of on the other side of those fir trees. You would head up number 9, coming right up to
right here.
This green here. Okay.
Then you stop and get a refreshment.
If you do, You can
You better not be long, you lose your time.
You can do so, but you subject yourself to losing time. Of course, again, we're interested in keeping the golfers moving because we have many golfers that want to play. So again, we allow people, if they do have to stop, use facilities, etc., you must continue moving. There is no stopping for lunches or whatever unless you lose your space.
Are you allowed to have a bottle of beer out on the course?
Provided it's purchased in here.
Okay, no, all right. You don't want to bring it. Okay, no problem
Yes,
there.
yes.
Now, you have 5 or 6 people who maintain this out here? Is that
There's
what
approximately 6 people that maintain
There's a lot of work out there.
Headed by Roland Tatro is the current greenskeeper. And yes, there is an awful lot of work. In particular, the greens require a lot of care and maintenance.
You cut those every day, don't you?
In the heat of the summer, yes, they are cut practically every single day. There is a tremendous process, and maybe we can catch up with Roland somewhere out there with the men, and he might be able to speak a little bit further on that, Bob.
Okay, we've got a good cool breeze in our ears out here.
Yes.
You're watching Hometown Cable. We're going to go out and see some of this right now. Thank you very much, Jim. And thank you very much, Albert. Oh, yeah, but the cart, Albert. Tell us a little bit. This is what a cart looks like when you're talking up to $3,500 or whatever. Now, there it is. And this is run by gas.
Right.
All right. And what? Tell us about it. 2 people only.
Right.
So if you got to force them, you got to have 2. This is where you tie your bag on the back. So you just take your club. You don't have to carry it. This is for your clothes, for whatever you want to put in here, right?
Most of them are 6-packs.
Most of them are 6-pack, all right. This is a Yamaha. And do you shut it off each time when you get off to go hit the ball?
They're designed to be automatically. If you take your foot off the accelerator and put your foot on the brake, the gas will stop.
Okay,
and the engine
try
will
it.
stop. Okay.
Okay, well, go ahead. Start it up and just see how...
Start just here.
Go ahead.
Let me hold that. Get on there.
Okay. Boy, it better
All right.
not be in gear.
Turn the key.
Wait, don't I have to touch something?
See where the key says forward?
Yeah,
Turn the key.
It's out of gear.
No, you don't put it in gear. Just turn the key. All right, step on the gas. Go ahead, step on it.
Here goes Bob to the...
All right, Bob, take your foot off the gas. Just put your brakes on. Take your foot off. That's right. All right, put it in reverse.
Put it in reverse, all right.
Now back up.
You don't have to shift it all.
Whoa.
Kind of quiet. Now, you back up, you hear the sound?
Yeah.
And just like the trucks...
Now, did you notice when you put the brakes on, they stay on, right? You push them right down, your brakes will stay on. But the minute you hit your gas pedal, it'll release the brakes.
Oh, yes. And
There's no shifting.
Yeah, and there's no... also, you hit the gas, it takes off. There's no shifting, it just goes right away. And it doesn't make that much noise. That's what I wanted to see mainly. It doesn't make much noise at all.
I've had this going on 7 years, and I think I use this more than anybody around the place. And if I burn, I say 20 to 25 gallons of gas a season, that's big.
Is that right? Now, you see right here? I don't know if you can see this, Calvin. Right here is where you carry your tees, see? It's a whole hole right there you push them into,
And
see?
you put your scorecard under here.
Scorecard goes right underneath this spot right here. See, this is your scorecard. You keep track of it. Right here, the rules on how to cheat, right there.
That's right.
Okay, it is very interesting. I've seen my son's. His has a top on it, which I like. He put it on because I can stay out of the sun. I don't like the sun.
I don't like a top. I
You don't
to
like
be
a
in the
top.
sun, yeah. Now, do you want to see the inside of it?
Yes, we're talking about the motor here, huh? Okay, going to lift up. There's, all right, that's what runs this outfit. And this is what we're here for. This is the type of thing we like to look at because it shows you something you've never seen before.
See, I've got a half a tank of gas.
Right?
This here's, you keep this filled with oil all the time, and the oil automatically feeds into the gas line.
Yeah, very unique. And your battery,
Right.
the other machines you have to charge continually. You have places to charge those here?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have to pay to charge?
Oh yeah,
remember?
the gas carts pay more to stay here than the electric cart.
But do they pay for each time that they charge their battery?
No, that goes along with
Okay.
the fee.
Okay, so you know what it costs to leave your cart here all summer? Any idea?
What is it, Denny, for the gas carts now?
Somewhere's around $100.
For the
Hey?
gas cart. What
Little
about
over $100.
and the battery cart?
Jimmy could tell you to maybe.
What's it cost to keep a cart here all summer?
The store card?
Yeah, store card.
A gas card is, I believe, about $150.
150, and the other ones like that?
It's over 200.
Okay,
I
now,
have to go check.
and you leave those underneath, what, are they outside or inside?
No, there's some in the storage sheds down there, which we can
We'll take a run down there
In
and
fact,
look at it.
Okay.
we should go down there at some time after
Okay.
and look at some of the equipment we use on the maintenance.
Okay, then, thank you very much, Al. That's the type of thing that we want to show people, because they, everybody out there is not going to be interested in this program, maybe, but they may find something. You may get new members because of this. You don't have room for them. You got a waiting list of over 100.
You see what your town supervisor is doing in his off time or whatever.
Where's our town supervisor?
They're coming up.
I thought he was delivering mail. He got a couple. Looks like he got a couple of canes at Mayo out there.
That don't look like Gerald. Yes, it is. It is. Gerald and Smiley.
Sure.
Come on, come on.
It must be a Legion meeting.
Come on down.
Quiet on the green.
We'll bug 'em.
This is the North Country Masters Tournament you're watching right out here now. And these are three of the leaders just moving up. You notice they all have different color hats, red, white, and blue. Well, that's the American Legion colors. Al Strack putting. Look at that. Nice shot. Nice shot. This is the main thing about golf, not only playing, it's the camaraderie of these people here out here having a good time. Out here off early with their jackets on.
They're out here every day.
They are?
All but Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
I didn't know that Smiley was a golfer. Look at that. Look at that guy putt.
Give him that one.
That's what he's had this year.
Gerald, he's nervous.
It's tough uphill. We have to whisper as they do in the tournaments. No talking on the green. Now that's not a gimme right there, is it? Huh? No, that's not. That can be missed very easily, right?
Right. Coming up that hill,
Right.
it makes it hard.
Okay. We're left-handed. Now, Jim,
Yes.
the cup, that's where they putting the flag back in,
Yes, correct.
is changed every day or weekly or what?
It depends. Again, it depends on the course play and it depends on the weather conditions.
Okay.
Generally, what will happen when you get to the heat of the summer, where the grass is growing very heavily, the course play is very heavy, you will change the cups practically every day, just like you will change the tee markers on the tees every day.
That stops the ridges and things, plus
well,
it's a different course, really,
well,
right?
it not only makes a different course, it allows that different parts of the course, different parts of the green are used rather than everybody walking to the same spot. That's why you have such a large green, so you won't wear it out.
Jim, can you get one of those down there and tell us what that is?
Sure.
That handle thing down there?
When an individual hits into a sand trap,
Yes.
There's Rollins.
We saw these things. Now, when you get a ball, comes in here, and you hit it, you're going to make a little divot or something, right?
Also, when somebody hits into a sand trap, definitely what happens, you not only have the ball mark, but then you have the person's imprints that have walked in there. And in order to show courtesy to the next golfer coming up who could hit in the same spot, that's correct. That's
There you
correct.
go. There you
and
are.
when you hit out, you would create. So what you do as a courtesy, then you would rake it back smoothly.
That's the golfer himself. He does that.
That's correct. In the old days, you had a caddy to do that. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
But,
Now, you'll notice there's two of these here, so it isn't unlikely that they would go in here once in a while. You got to have two because it's very busy.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's the protection. You see, they're right around the green. It's what makes the effort. You must come up the middle, and if you don't, you're going to be in one of these three traps. And this is new. When I played here, they had no traps, no water hazards, nothing.
That's correct. That's correct. There was only a few sand traps, and now we have, I would say, sand traps almost on every single hole, and there is water hazards also. It's all part of the game of golf that, again, elevating the intensity and the level of golf. And, again, it's what most golfers are looking for. Even whether they shoot the 80s or the 70s or whether they shoot the 120s, everybody always remembers the good shot.
Exactly. Okay. We'll go up the hill here to the Tatro farm. You may think that we're in Rouse's Point. If you recognize that building, you're probably correct. That was one of the Montpelier cabins right on Lake Street in Rouse's Point. They had about 10, and he sold those off some years ago. And I think the golf course bought two of those. Two of them. I think one is here, and the other one's way over.
Up there.
Up the other end, excuse me, up behind me here. And what it is, it's a rest stop along the way, and it's a place to get in and out of the rain, etc. They've got 3 on the course, 3
we got
buildings.
2 of those. That's
2 like that, and you got one over.
Building that is just for shelter.
This is bathroom and so forth right in here.
That's correct.
And that one's a shelter.
Yep.
And all right, now the person who's keeping that painted and keeping all these greens up and everything else, the man in charge of all of this right here is our good friend Knights of Columbus and former 18-hour-a-day farmer Roland Tatro. Hi, Roland. Good morning. And you've been here how long now?
This is my 4th year.
Different than the farm?
Quite a bit. Yes.
We were talking, I've been riding with him on the way over here, and I said, do you still get up awfully early? Because they're here by 6 o'clock in the morning, right? But you had, what was your answer to that?
Well, I get done at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Versus 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. But the milk checks aren't quite as good as before.
No.
But the expenses aren't there either.
That's right.
So what do you do in the winter, Roland?
Well, I play a little golf down in Florida.
Do you play golf here at all? You don't get a chance here. You do. Were you a golfer before?
This is why I got out of farming. I can play after 2 o'clock and get out and play, but on the farm, it was
You
hard.
didn't have a chance. Of course not. You and then whenever it's daylight, you had work to do.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And you and your brother ran that farm for how long?
33 years.
You just don't think of farmers playing golf very often. And I guess we're early. Maybe Culbert Brunel, he was always in the KC before 6 o'clock at night. He was a gentleman farmer. He worked hard, but he was there early. All right, so what is your main function? Is to keep these grounds, and you have 5 or 6 people working?
Five besides myself.
Okay. One of the things we'd like to, a couple of things. Number one, I've heard of fairway and non-fairway. How would I know when I'm in the fairway and not in the fairway here?
Well, the fairways are mowed quite a bit shorter. It's hard to tell right now because the grass is just beginning to grow.
In other words, there's an area you should be in and an area you shouldn't be in.
Right. So this is rough here.
Now, this is not fairway?
No, this is rough. You can tell it's longer.
It's kind of rough. Okay, now, is there a penalty for being out here?
No, well, the penalty is that you can't move your ball when it's in the rough. Like we play winter rules here, you know.
All right.
You get in the fairway.
Wait a minute. Just stop right there. What do you mean winter rules? What do winter rule mean? What's that mean?
Winter rules is when you hit your ball in the fairway, and if it's a bad lie, you can move it around a little bit.
Okay, so this is a result of of a winter. This is what they call winter kill and so forth. Yeah. If it were right in this little groove, you could move it?
That's just low spot.
You could.
Not
you can't
in here,
move that.
That's
rough. Only when it's on the fairway. Ah.
The reason that may have developed, Bob, is just to explain again to the non-golfers that when you get into the fairways, our fairways are probably not as plush and lush as a beautiful course down south that the pros would play on, like a Doral or any of the other one, in any part of the country where they spend millions of dollars just to upkeep their course. So what you have is this winter rule where you can move the ball, what they call a club head length, to get yourself a better lie, as long as you are in the fairway and not in a hazard or outside of the fairway.
Right. That ditch that's right there that separates is that a hazard?
That's correct.
So if that ball goes in there, you're allowed to take it out?
With a stroke.
It costs you one?
That's correct. Unless you can play it out of there, you can play it out of the hazard if there isn't water in it. But most of the time, you'll probably find the individual will have to take a stroke.
Okay, if I take a stroke, because I'm right behind the tree in the ditch, can I throw it 10 feet ahead?
No, near the hole. In fact, you have to come to the opposite side of the. If the green was out that way and you hit it this. In there, you would have to take it out on this side.
I got a chance to put it back in.
That's correct.
Now, can I take it out and go put it on the high spot, or what do I do?
No, if you're in net, you have to drop the ball at a shoulder length.
You put it out and just drop it on this side.
That's correct.
And a downhill lie, so you'd have to go. All right, now, is this a green right here that's raised like that?
No, that's a tee.
That's a tee. Okay. Now, what are the white spots out there for rolling?
Tee markers. That's where you got to stand behind those to tee out your ball.
You can't go ahead of there.
You're not supposed to.
That means that sometimes somebody does, right?
Well,
Are there 2 different ones here? I see another one just a little bit ahead. What's that mean?
That's a ladies' tee.
So you're saying it's a little bit shorter course than for the ladies?
Right.
Okay. I see you have trash cans here that please put your trash up and throw it. Off to the left, and there's also that red, what's that red light that's on the side? Is that a light?
No, that's a ball washer.
Come on. A what?
Ball washer.
They get dirty enough out here that they have to wash
Especially
them?
at this time of the year when it's soft ground, you hit the ball, it gets muddy and dirty, and they'll wash it after.
So there's water in there?
Yes, water and a little soap. and there's a towel to wipe it.
Okay, maybe we'll look at that a little closer to show people. That's kind of interesting. Now, why is the tee raised like that? Is there a reason?
Well, Jim probably.
Jim?
Well, it's to give the golfer kind of an advantage. I mean, you don't want to be in a flat, level ground, and to kind of have the tee, I guess, say, just concentrate on the tee as a different source than the rest of the fairway. Okay, and so generally you elevate them and make them. Generally, sometimes they're the lady and the men's tee will be at a dual elevation. The ladies in the front and lower, and the men's in the rear. And these tees are generally just elevated and accented from the rest of the course, as the green is accented from the course.
And this bench here, I take, is for the people to wait for the others to finish.
That's correct. When you're getting high volume of play during a weekend, a holiday, you may find that it backs up a little bit. You don't get the
all right, somebody just drove off. How long do I have to wait before I drive? Now, depending on how far I think I hit?
That's correct. That's correct. You know, you generally would let people be out approximately 250 yards.
That ought to be enough.
That's for the average golfer.
That'd be safe,
okay, for the average golfer. Some of the real low handicap people can hit the ball in that vicinity.
Okay. And I've heard, anyway, I've never seen it in actuality, but I read about it. You're supposed to say something when you hit that ball. And it's going towards somebody, right?
It's a word called four.
Four, F-O-R-E, you holler four. That means that if it hits you, it's your tough luck, right? Does that absolve you from responsibility or something?
I don't think so.
It's something like timber when you're cutting a tree, right?
That's right.
There's some people out there, maybe, I don't think we're bothering them. The wind is coming in from the northwest today. And we're looking north as Calvin has the camera right now. And it's strange to see all these carts out here. There's a lot of carts. Do most people use a cart?
I would say quite a few. I would say probably over 60% of the golfers, 60 to 70% of the golfers would use carts.
We've got over 100 private carts.
Is that right? You know, when I think of it, people play golf, they said for exercise, they get on a cart and they ride all around the course, right?
You said they played for exercise.
Well, they play to get away from home. I guess some people like to fish, some hunt.
Yes.
It's like riding a four-wheeler into hunt.
All right. Anything else here now you want to tell me while we're right in this area? As we say, the golf course ended right here before.
That's correct.
This is the town property up to that ditch, across to the road, in this area. And on the far side, that's owned. That land was purchased and is owned by the North Country membership themselves. Now, when you say the membership owns it, but when you leave the golf course, you don't get anything for your membership part of that back, right?
That's correct.
You temporarily own it as long as you pay your dues.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
It's owned by the incorporation.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You mentioned your golf trail, your cart trail?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. The golf cart paths, as we refer to them, have been put in the last few years because of the high level of carts that we have out here, that you've got to keep the carts off the fairways, because you'll note certain spots as you drive throughout the course where you can see there was not a path and the carts continually run over it. After a while you have no grass left. It's like, driving your car on the lawn. If you keep parking your car on the lawn every single night when you go home, then you're going to find that there's going to be a barren spot there. Well, this is the same thing on a golf course if we keep going over. So what we set up cart paths, and what we have is what we call a 90-degree rule. And that 90-degree rule, we ask that if you go down and your ball's in the center of the fairway, that you don't just cut across the fairway, that you go down, turn 90 degrees, go to your ball, and then go to the cart path on the opposite side.
So you can go on the fairway with your cart?
That's correct.
Oh,
that's
all
correct.
right.
With
okay.
using, yes,
you just throw it up the middle, just don't go wandering
just don't
all over.
drive down the center of the course.
Okay. You having much trouble with that, Roland? Are the people pretty good? After all, this is their own course, right? The members are the ones that I would assume a member would tell somebody who's not a member, please don't do that. I don't want you to make a, And if you go over this cart right now, this ground right here is kind of soft.
Yes.
And if you're on the fairway and that ball goes in that area, you're going to have trouble getting it out, maybe even hitting it.
See, that was another reason that we really pushed for putting the cart paths down, because of the fact that, as you know, most of the land around here is a clay substance, and the water is retained for quite some time, so we weren't able to allow the carts to be on the golf course very early. So, but by putting the cart paths out here, we're able to allow the people to use the golf paths and and get the golf carts out sooner.
I noticed there are parts where it's tarmac and parts where it isn't.
Called budget and expense.
All right, that's kind of an expensive process, right?
Very, very expensive, and we can do it. The crushed stone, Roland has done a lot again last year.
Do you know how many yards there are in the course when if you were playing it? What's the number of feet? That must be on that card.
68 or 69.
100? 6,000.
6,800, I'll say off the top of my head.
Mile and a quarter if you take the course around the short way.
Yeah,
That's
Now-
measuring down the middle of the fairway.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
now as far as the path, you must have well over a mile and a half of path.
Oh, I would think so.
All right, that has to be either tarmac or crushed stones.
Yes.
Okay.
See, some fairways we've got more than one path. Like
Yeah.
Right, both sides.
over there.
Yeah.
Go way
Okay. It's when I was here, this course was considered to be quite flat. You've improved a lot. You got a lot of little dips and things here now. And is there particularly a lot of winter kill this year, Roland?
Yes, this is one of the worst years I've noticed there we've been here.
What causes winter kill? As a farmer, you probably know that as much as anybody.
Well, this winter in January there was a warm spell. It really got warm overnight. It got about during the day it was 40, 45. Then it turned real cold the next day, which left water and it started froze, and that's what.
And that kills underneath, huh?
The farmers this year had the same experience.
Okay.
We look for a good snowfall in early fall to blanket the course for protection.
Okay, yeah.
Is really what we look for out here, okay?
Okay.
And ice is what will cause the damage to the fairways, greens, etc.
So, as a farmer before and now, the rain's still a problem, right?
Well, I'd rather see a little rain right now. We need rain.
need rain
but,
now.
If I was a farmer, I'd rather get my seeding done. You
Yeah.
know.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to take another little ride here. I'm itching to go. You're watching the North Country Golf Course, and we're the newest member in our group here today. Right now is Roland Tatro. He's the greens. You call it? What do you call the
Greenskeeper.
Greenskeeper. And of course, the greens, remember, is where you putt. But he doesn't only keep those; he keeps the whole fairway and also the rough, where I usually am. Okay, we're on the tee for number 15, for hole 15, 410 yards. Let's see here, handicap. What is it? What are we talking about? What, handicap 6? What's that? 8.
Okay.
Par 4. It means you got 4. What is it? What's the 6 for?
Each hole, there's a degree of difficulty in relationship to the other 18 holes out here.
All right.
So this hole would be rated as number 6 hardest hole of the 18 holes on this course. Okay.
All right.
This number 4 that we're looking at across the way, the number 4 green.
That's
the dog leg. It's one of the easier. It might be rated number 3 or whatever. If we had a scorecard, we could tell all of these. Okay. But each hole has a degree of difficulty in relationship to the other 18 holes on the course. Bob.
Okay. Now, you'll notice I see Jules Trey, a general contractor. Does that mean he made a hole-in-one here or something?
No, that's he was kind enough to be one of the sponsor this sign and hole, because these signs were quite expensive. The signage company came around and said, hey, we want to put up 18 signs in your course. We'll give you a little, as you can see, the little design. It tells you actually where you hit, where there's water, where the green is. Okay, and they. Each one of the sponsors paid for that particular sign.
Right, yes.
Okay,
yes,
and we have them on each hole.
Yeah. Yet it's not. It isn't bothering. It isn't sticking out there.
No,
it's just very
nice,
very well done. Now, if you look to Calvin's left, you would drive off. Now here they've got red markers that you must be. You cannot. You're not supposed to hit out here. You're supposed to stay behind these on that particular day. And those you move around.
That's correct.
Right?
That's
Now.
correct.
The one with the yellow just above is where the ladies' tee, and they would have a shorter course. And you're going for that light green way down to the left of the white stones, to the left of that building. And I see is that a flag I see out there, white?
That's correct.
Okay, that's the flag down, a red flag. And you have 4 shots from here to there to put it in. And if you make it in 3, that's even better. It was on one of these right here that my daughter in Plattsburgh had a hole-in-one. In a par 4, which is very, very, very unlikely to happen. But she did that, and we're very proud that she did that. And she said she may not do it again. And I said, you may not. Okay, we're at the most easterly end, correct? We're at the farthest from the golf house possible, the clubhouse. The towers you see, where are we physically? This is Beauregard's.
Yes, Dave's Auto Body.
Auto Body is right over here.
Property,
right.
okay, on the corner over there.
So that's the beginning of the village of Rouse's Point.
That is correct.
To our right would be what? We're not quite up to the underpass yet, correct?
Very close to it because the railroad tracks are right here, Bob.
Okay.
So the railroad tracks would be running right here towards
All
the
right,
underpass.
we're awfully close, right straight over.
Yes, you would be looking right straight across at, if it was open right here, let's say the Ashline Farm. Okay. It would have been straight right across. In fact, if we were back there at the opening, you could see it right there.
All right, that's where you're located.
And the towers are the Eris towers back here.
Okay.
Wyeth Eris, you can see through the trees.
All right. Calvin?
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions. How likely is it that a stranger's going to hit to the wrong flag out there? Does that ever happen?
Well, I would say probably the inexperienced golfer might run into a problem, but it's like instinct. Once you play golf courses, you kind of learn that the next tee is going to be right in the vicinity to the last green that you left, and generally there are arrows or directions and signage such as we have. You know, where it is a little complicated, you may have a situation where the sign will direct you to it.
Yeah, this is the sign right here. Yeah,
that's
down
correct.
Here, right?
That's correct. Right. This will show you where the tees are.
Women's.
Yeah.
This is the fairway.
Yep. Yeah.
The dark green are the traps or whatever.
Generally, that's traps.
And the white is the
rough.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And this, I guess, is a.
There's a water. That's a water ditch or a drainage ditch going through there.
And that's what you're aiming for. There's a trap.
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
That's very nice.
Yep.
And that's all carved in out of there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Calvin, you said you had a couple of questions. Something else?
Yeah, the other one is, I know like bowling, golfers have handicaps. Want to explain what handicaps are and how you get them?
Okay, that gets a little bit more complicated and it probably gets into a lot of discussion, but I'll try and give you a brief version. Okay, there is a par like there is on this golf course. It's a 72. There's also course ratings, which our rating is probably around a 69, I think, or so. I won't try and get into all of that because it gets rather confusing, and I'm not. You need a real golf expert to tell you all of those things, who understands handicapping to its fullest. They write articles on them. But anyways, based on 72, it's how many strokes that you normally shoot over that. For example, an individual who shoots in the low 90s will be around a 15, 16 handicap, okay? And so what they do is take the 72 score, and if you shoot 100, you would subtract, that would give you a 28 number, and then you'll get 80% of that. That's a rough calculation, okay, for the person.
It gives a chance for myself, who plays very seldom, to play against someone who is plays, let's say, moderately number of times, and yet start off even with him, because he's got 18 strokes ahead before he even starts,
okay,
right?
That's correct. And so let's say if that was the case, Bob, and you were a 24 handicap and I was a 15 handicap, then I would be giving you 9 strokes, okay?
A half a stroke a hole.
And there comes back to your handicap 6.
Okay.
So you would be getting strokes on the lowest 9 numbers on the handicap side of things,
okay.
if you understand, okay? Yeah. So that's why we have the handicapping of the holes. So if you have to give 3 strokes away, then you say I'm going to give them holes on 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
So that's
otherwise, you'd never be able to beat anybody who's better than you. And technically, in bowling or here, you can any given day when you do good that day, you can win.
That's correct. That's correct.
Also, the person that gets the lowest score is the first one to hit. Right, next time.
That's how you decide who's going to hit first, second, third, etc. It goes in the way of the last hole.
All right. Now, once you hit off, there's 4 of us. Who shoots the first of the second time they hit?
The person the farthest from the hole.
Farthest away from the hole. All right.
Okay, and then the same thing on the green. The first person the farthest from the hole would attempt to make his putt or her putt first.
Right. And on the green, you must use the putter. You can't use it. You can't use anything except a putter once you're on the green.
No, I don't think that's.
It isn't. No,
because people have been known to break their putters and use another club to putt with. I've seen it even happen on the tour.
Right.
You can use other instruments. I believe it has to be a club.
Okay. Here is.
How could you break your putter?
Probably in a moment of irritation and frustration, which, like most games, this can do it.
It gets very, very irritating.
It can.
You got to remember that when you hit off here, you're going. We've talked before about 250 yards. So this is a 410 yard. So you hit 250 yards, and that's 1 stroke. And when you put the last one in the hole, you may be only 6 inches away, and it counts just as much for that 6 inches as for that first 250 yards. So it's not how far you hit or how short, but the combination, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. It's like in bowling. It's not the number of strikes you get. It's in what order you get them. You get them in a row, so they stack up, right?
That's correct.
All right. Very pleasant out here. Very, very nice. It must have cost a pretty penny to get this set up originally when you first got this.
I am sure
in
there was
1970s?
a tremendous amount of cost involved in this, Bob, because especially the designing of the greens. There, you see charts on the production of a green, and they go anywhere from 25,000 to 40,000 to produce a green, because there's a base that has to go in there, and then development, and then most of the time on a green, you won't even attempt to grow the green yourself. You'll probably buy it from a person, a seed farm,
Okay.
And we can get further into that if you want to see. We could bring a greens mower out and show
we
you the
might
cutting
up
of green.
yes.
Let's see how it goes, and
Okay.
maybe Roland could give us a demonstration.
Total acreage?
Okay, total acreage is about 150 acres. I believe this side here comprises, the member side probably comprises of about 65 acres, and the other side about 84 acres. That's
Right.
roughly speaking the town charts again.
150 acres. That sounds familiar, Roland? How many were on your farm?
Well, a few more than that, but that's...
You know, you talk of all this money to put in the green, everything else. You got to have it kept up as you go, because I imagine it's a week or a month not being kept up, and it starts going the other way, right? And that's what this man here is for.
That's correct. And even the sand in the sand traps, Bob. All of that sand is, you just can't go and buy sand from Diesel's Contracting up here or any quarries and just pour it in there and use that type of sand, because it has to be a special grade sand that will allow a club to go through it so you can hit it properly. We buy, this sand has come out of, is it Shelburne Quarries, Roland? And this is a good sand that maintains the same texture most of the season, which again allows the golfer to give him something a little bit better. So,
How long have you been a director, Dennis?
Second year.
Second year.
2 years.
Do you remember when Roland first came?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember how he got here? Did you go looking for him, or did he come looking for you? Do you remember?
Well, I wasn't on the board.
You weren't
at
on the
that
board. Do
time.
you remember how that happened? Do you tell us how that happened? Did you look for a job, or did they say, Roland, we need someone like you?
Well, I was looking for a job, and they were looking for someone too. So they
Worked out perfect. Worked out
Right.
perfect. A great.
you might comment on that. Roland being a farmer, certainly we get a very broad individual by getting someone such as Roland, and we have a couple of other ex-farmers here, and we've gotten a nice combination with Roland being a farmer and a golfer.
Yes.
Because he understands the game of golf and therefore can bring all of, and a farmer has a very, very broad mind when he's having to deal, whether it's the animals or whether it's the equipment. I don't say that we have animals out here, but we have a lot of equipment.
I saw one with a hitting a club on a tree. They looked like quite an animal, I'll tell you.
But the equipment and the grounds, certainly someone of his talents can bring a lot to us, and he has done an excellent job. And some of the other, there's been a number of people, it's not 1 year that's developed this course.
Yes.
There's a number of people.
Yep.
There's so many people that you could mention on the board who have brought a lot of things, and the previous boards. You could go on many years. I wouldn't even attempt to mention the name because I'd slight someone, Bob,
Okay.
because there's many good people who have brought a lot to this course.
Okay. When you had your auction 4 years ago?
Yes.
4 years ago. I see we're losing another farmer today in
Right,
Champlain, right?
right.
Mr. Boudreau.
Right.
What's happening to him? Do you know what's going to happen? Is he just leaving the area?
No,
I understand the house, the farm, everything's for sale, right?
labor
I
shortage.
think the auction is on right now.
Yes, right. It's labor shortage.
Labor shortage, and
Right.
big changes. A lot of the small farms going out. We'll be right back. You're enjoying your morning. We don't have any sun. We've got it's nice and cool out here. It's invigorating. Calvin's got nearly got a scarf on out with the camera, and we're at the North Country Golf Course, and through the courtesy of the officers, directors, and the greenskeeper right here, Roland Tatra, Jim Favreau, and Dennis Norton. Be right back. Many times on a golf course, it's not only the greens and the fairways and all the green grass. We have lakes, ponds, brooks, streams, and we have right here is Jim.
This was, I guess, a nickname or given the name Willie's Pond, and you'll see that there was a memento put up here for Willie Valenzi, who was a longtime member of the golf course and past president, board member, and
Friend of the North Country Golf Club. And also club champion, I think, several times.
Yes, he was. Many club champions. In fact, Calvin was asking me about that, and I said, gee, I would, again, hesitate to name names. I can tell you that right now the current two are Pat Welch and Kathy Barcombe. Before that, Audrey Gregoire, Mike Zerlo. I could go back and forth, but going back further than that, I'd have to be looking at a list or something.
Yeah, do they have plaques in the building on that? They should.
I think there's some up, but I don't know if they're all updated, but we should check them, and maybe we could. Just on this pond, again, one of some of the past boards looked at this and said, geez, it would be nice if we had our own watering system. That's something, right now we draw water from the town of Rouse's Point, village of Rouse's Point, to water our greens and fairways. Some fairways, mostly just the greens, okay? So over the years, we've thought of developing our own water system, and of course, you don't have to put on any treated water on these greens. I mean, certainly natural water of this sort would be just this pond, as you may recall, years ago, was only from the building here, if Calvin could scan the building, only to about these first large pines right here.
Yeah.
And we took upon it ourselves to start enlarging this, and Andy Gay from across the border did a lot of the digging on this and moved the dirt around, and that's how we got all of the nice elevated tees, like looking across at number 9, looking across at number 2 tee, over to the right over here. You'll see all of these tees. So we just moved the dirt out of the pond. As we kept expanding this, there's a natural spring here that just kept going out as big as we developed it. And in fact, it feeds a sister pond right across the way. I don't think you can see the level of the water, but you can see the yellow stakes over there.
Okay.
And they're connected together underground, and it keeps that at the same level. So it's strange how water will take its course here.
Who has the ball concession in the ponds? Who gets them out? Do you get those out, Roland?
No.
You have divers that come and pick them up?
We have some people that we use to get these out.
Divers, right, to go in?
And, of course, we have people who like to go in and get them for retrieving.
A lot of balls going in a place like that over a period of time.
That's correct. So,
all right.
Yeah. The depth is, I believe, in the middle, close 10, 12 feet.
Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely.
That deep?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I didn't realize
yeah.
it was that deep.
Yes. So, again, we're looking for the future in hopes that we do. Which greens do we water in this? Number 8 right now?
Number 8 and number 9 tee.
We do have water pipe to this. There is a pump house right here, and we do take care of that.
So you have spigots over there where you can spray with your...
Yes, we've got them all set up for automatically sprinkling the greens.
And you only sprinkle the greens, nothing else. You can't do the fairways.
And the tees. The tees. The fairways we'd love to, Bob, but again, that's a major expense and a major undertaking, which this course does not have those type of funds.
Short season too, right? 5 months?
That's correct. Yes, and weather like this takes away from those months for us. We have 2 other ponds right over on number 10 of similar sorts to this here that were developed at that same time, and that would be far looking to the south. No, those really come off the ditches, I think, from coming from the properties to the kind of to the southwest of us. They would be draining into those, and they seem to maintain their level.
Yeah, last year was the driest year we've had here, and they kind of got low, but normally they stay up there pretty well.
South of the clubhouse, as we look up, you can see the clubhouse. To the south of there, you have a driving range. Did you have a putting area where you can putt too?
There is right immediately to the south of the clubhouse. There is a little, a putting green, a practice putting green. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about way over to the property at the end of our property over there. There's a driving range over there that we lease property from a local person.
Does somebody over there, or do you just get the balls and go over by yourself?
The balls that you were looking at, the driving range and the thing, they go over out of the barrel. You get a basket and get a bucket of balls, and you go over and practice as long as you want, or 2 buckets or 3 buckets. So. Again, our staff picks them up. They have this funny little ball picker that's got 3 little things behind it, and it just tracks, and the balls catch into the wheels, and they come back and empty it. So it's again younger kids mostly that do that for us, unemployment for the summer.
Just like squeezing the hay bales out of the hay baler, like only reverse. Get over here, Roland, on the other side, and you can be facing the camera here and point out things to me here as we go. Okay, we're looking at, there's 4 different mowers out here, and they all got a purpose, or 3 in a raker. What is this? I never saw anything like this one before.
This one we use it to mow on the banks of the greens and the tees, and where it's a little unstable,
Yes.
It has a 3-wheel drive, so we can shift in for 3-wheel drive if we need to.
And this will go either way, right?
Right, it goes up and down.
So it follows the contour.
And it molds a little higher around the banks and it will on the greens. And so that's why we have all these mowers, though. You have different...
All right, now this mower here, we're going to see how these work in a minute. But what is this one now?
This is the greens mower.
This one on the actual green itself, where you're putting, and those containers is to catch the grass.
Right, and the weeds and stuff.
All right, so that nothing is left there at all. You don't have to. You don't rake the greens.
No,
right?
no,
you don't rake them.
No.
Now this one over here looks just like the one we just saw. No.
Yeah, well, it's similar to this one, except that's for the tees, which mows a little higher.
Okay, so that's up where you're teeing off in the beginning,
Right.
where we were standing.
Yes.
And then, of all things,
This is a sand trap freak, or
this is a tractor-driven rake for the sand traps. And we're
Right.
going to show you how that works
Right.
in just a couple minutes here.
looks like a three-wheeler, but it...
It looks like a drags back here with all those bolts, and you can adjust the heights of those,
Right.
whatever.
That's right.
Okay, and then what about your big tractors? And you gang mowers you use for the fairways,
Yes.
right? The kind you pull.
That tractor, we use it mostly for loading stuff in the truck or making paths. We've used it on making paths, cleared stones, and
So these workers here, your workers out here, right? Let's see who these people are. Why don't you just give us your names here? Tell us who you are.
Steve Zupra. John Kubel.
Rainy Tetro.
And
Rudolph Ashline.
now I thought with all these people, you guys played golf most of the time. With all this equipment, you're not playing golf all the time?
No.
Huh?
No.
You work 8 hours a day?
Yeah.
6 days a week or 5?
Well, in the summer it's 7 to 8, but the only thing is we work 4 hours on Sundays and Saturdays.
What do you do in the winter? You're not retired like these other guys, are you, John?
I go to Florida in the winter.
Oh, you all go to Florida. You guys all go to... You're retired? You're not retired.
No,
what do you do in the winter?
Just sit at home,
Just
I guess.
down and you know?
I just stay home.
You stay home. All right. Well, they have a good summer out here. It's nearly winter today. We had a short summer. Okay, we're going to go out, and a couple of these guys, or 3 of them, and then we're going to go over and show us how these things work on the greens. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
Okay, tell us what's happening. Is he cutting right now?
right, he is.
You don't get any big long ones because he does it nearly every day, right?
Right. Well, nearly every day. There's probably 1 or 2 days at max that we don't mow.
Now, can I assume that there's a method in a way he's going to cut this grass?
Yes.
He's going to cut it vertically with the way it comes in?
One day he may cut it one way, and the next day he'll go another way, and the following day they keep going different, alternate.
Now that sucks that grass right up into those
buckets.
containers, yeah?
Into the bucket, yeah.
Now remember, they irrigate, they use water with sprinkler systems here on the greens.
Right.
The greens are a little lighter because they haven't had much rain.
Yeah, no, some not too much sun.
Will they
either.
get a little darker than that
Oh,
later
yeah,
on, huh?
They should, yeah. Right.
Now, is that special soil or special grass you have on the greens, Roland?
Yeah, there's bent grass on it we have on the greens.
Do you have to renew that very often? Or is it the same one, you just keep it up, you
The
keep
grass,
it up?
you have to
yeah?
seed it. We will seed it when we do the top dressing on it.
You do?
Yes.
Do you use any special kind of fertilizer on it or anything
Oh, yeah.
like that? You
Oh,
do have to do that
right.
too, huh?
We have a soil test done every year and send it to Cornell and they'll tell us what they recommend. And
Yeah. Very good. What's a machine like that be worth approximately? Any idea what that mower runs? And talking money wise here again.
yeah, I would say in 15, 16,000. You know.
People understand.
Not more than that. I think they're in the 20s right
Probably
now.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're in the 20s. on
People
something like that.
understand money, you know, Jim. And
Yeah.
what kind of budget we talking about for this golf course? We're talking big money here in the course of a year.
Well, you're probably dealing with $700,000 worth of revenues that are handled, and everything just goes right back into the course
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
So it's just kind of money is handled, put back into either the
Yeah.
course or the clubhouse.
You got a lot of
you know,
investment in carts and everything else, right?
Yes,
You got to keep renewing them.
Equipment is a major issue. You know, when you're dealing with tractors and equipment that cost an awful lot of money today.
Okay, what are we going to see next? Now you're going to show you how you cut it along the side.
Well, I think we ought to point out that $700,000 is basically going into the local economy.
Well, that's a very good point, Calvin. You know, basically, when you talk of the employees, we're paying employees out of that budget. We're paying taxes out of that. Sales tax revenue of 7% that we collect is going into this, coming back, I believe, what is it, 4% that comes back to Clinton County?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of that is, I figure, an enhancement to the community.
And a lot of this, 37% of it, is not originated here. It comes from Canada. A lot of it comes from Canada, you said,
correct,
right?
That's correct.
So that's money that wouldn't be here
Yeah,
if the course wasn't here.
He said 37. I thought it was a little bit less than that, maybe about 32, 33.
Okay.
But roughly speaking, yes.
A third.
Yeah,
All right,
money
give us
coming into
a
the
third.
economy.
And to outstates, other parts of the county.
And when you have golfers coming down, they're probably buying gas locally.
Yes,
they're
right.
staying here locally. If
Well-
they're not dining in our establishment, they're dining.
Well, if they
probably other
dine,
places.
if they dine in yours, you got to buy the food from Plattsburgh for
That's
meat. You
correct.
got to buy bread.
That's
you got to,
correct.
all right, other
That's
things.
correct. That's correct. We've got another piece of equipment. Maybe Raul
Okay,
can
now
explain.
there's an example where those two mowers could make a V shape right near, right? He's right on the crest now. Look, you got you could not possibly do that with a regular. Look, that's a perfect idea of what that's for.
And he has no problem around that bank at all. You notice how he
Yeah.
goes up there, there's no problem at all.
Yeah. So when you're playing on a golf course, or you drive by a golf course and you see it well kept, it doesn't happen by magic. There are people out here at various odd hours of the day, early, doing this and keeping it that way.
I might mention, before we had that piece of equipment, it was very difficult to mow all this. All had to be hand mowed, and it couldn't be mowed at a nice level like it does now. This cuts it at a very... And again, people come to a golf course, they expect to see something very well manicured. And that's what you expect at a golf course, no matter where you go, whether you're in, whether you're in Florida or California, or whether you're in Champlain, New York, as this place happens to be.
But you know, many times we forget the work that goes in to making it and keeping it that way rolling. You just automatically assume that's nice and the way it's supposed to be. That's great.
Like on Sunday mornings, these fellows that come in at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, yeah.
And there's golfers waiting for daylight to get down, you know. We can't get here early enough for the
So
golfers.
you can cut that when it's wet. It's all right,
Oh, yeah.
no problem, yeah. Okay, now this is your brother, Rainey, on here.
No, that's my cousin.
Oh, I thought you were brothers.
No,
Your
we're
cousin.
cousin, yeah.
All right, there, look.
See, he's just smoothing it out. And when he wants to, like after rain, there's a cultivator under it, which you might drop it there. He's just.
Now the idea of that, of course, you don't want it to get hard. You don't want it hard because it would roll right out. It's there for a reason.
That's right. See, there's a cultivator in between that you just drop down, and it will sort of stir it more than what it is.
Now, would have never
it
thought.
keeps it smooth like that.
Never would have thought they had a machine for that.
You figure you have
easier to do it with a rake.
What's the price of one of those, Robert?
I don't know what they paid for it. I couldn't tell you.
That was only, I think, probably about $10,000-$12,000.
Only 10 or 12,000. Yeah.
I mean, for some of these products, they're a lot more expensive than that. But again, on something like this, it's the time and effort. When you have an average of 2 to 3 sand traps a hole, and you've got 18 holes out here, and then sometimes we also have fairway traps, it's quite time consuming. I mean, this particular hole has 3 sand traps right here. Okay, it has one on this side, and one in the back and one over there. So again, it's time and effort and to keep the things going. So a man can go out and get all of these done. They do that early in the morning so that the golfers have a nice facility to hit out of.
Now, Jim, you're not retired like the rest of us here, but you're here not as much as Dennis
No, it's just another thing that you get involved in, you know, when you're young and still feel that you can do something else.
Dennis, you here quite often?
Pretty every day, one time or another.
You play a lot of golf? You like golf?
Yeah.
Obviously, I guess so. You wouldn't be at the golf course, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to tell me, Dennis? We haven't talked to you much here lately.
The one thing we didn't look at, we went by it out there, is the fairway mowers. I mean, these are mowing specialty mowers, but those big fairway mowers.
And how wide can you cut with those?
They're about 12, 15 feet. And those things are expensive. We looked at last year, cheapest one you can even look at is like $17,000.
Wow.
And then that's a tow behind.
That's just a tow behind. Now, if you get it...
Well, a big self-propelled job, you're looking at $75,000, $80,000 maybe.
Now, you have meetings to decide when you need that. Who decides that you're going to buy a mower like that?
Well, there are bylaws that require that the board gets involved with certain things, and then there's another level. If you're going to purchase anything like if we wanted to improve the facility and wanted to make a major purchase in the clubhouse or we would have to get the approval of the membership.
Okay. Now, Roland would be one recommending that. Roland, you say we need that, so and so, right?
See, he's out there mowing with
Now that's in your driving range out
Yes,
there?
that's the driving range. He's mowing it today.
Calvin, you can see how far the driving range is way over there. That's the gang mowers.
We usually try to do the driving range once a week anyways.
Right.
Once we get caught up with our mowing out here, he
Okay.
goes over there.
Now,
and does it.
to get back to order here now, Jim is the general manager of the whole place.
Jim Daly.
So you would answer to Jim Rowland?
No, I answer to Pat Welch.
I beg your pardon.
One of the board members is responsible, Vice President
For
Pat
the-
Welch is responsible for the outside reporting to the board.
Oh, all
Okay.
right. So that,
The board
okay.
administers the overall responsibility. We have a manager, Jim Daly, for really the clubhouse and facility. Roland is in charge of the outside, who report to the board and bring anything to our attention. Then the board will act on it or respond as needed.
Okay, now let's say Albert. Albert's immediate, it would be Pat Welch or with
No,
Jim?
working for Jim.
With Jim,
Working
okay.
for Jim has all the employees, the outside employees who work every single day on the fairways, on the greens, are the responsibility of Roland. Most of the people use
Perfect opportunity for people like yourselves, Roland, who wants to winter off, right?
Right.
And yet you want to do something, you like it outside.
Yes.
Same with Jim, wants to have a time yourself, Dennis, you know. Dennis, you don't get paid here during the year, though. These guys get paid, right? You
That's all
come
right.
and
They
spend
gotta
yours.
work. They got to work.
They got to work, all right.
Yeah, Bob, something else that Calvin mentioned, more on the general public and commercial side of things here, might want to mention that the clubhouse when we're in there and the dining room facilities, bar facilities, those are all open to the public. This is, from that point of view, you and your wife want to come down for dinner this evening, we have a complete dinner menu. We more than welcome people. Sunday, you want to come down and have breakfast, Sunday morning, there may be, the parking lot may be full, but I'll bet you the restaurant doesn't have too many people. It's just for the next group waiting out, and you're more than welcome, and we are open to the public for,
you don't have to be a member.
Do not have to be a member. Wanted to
people
make
from
that
Customs came here for lunch. I used to make for lunch during
we do an excellent lunch
school business here
yes.
between now and school.
Now they can go right directly in the door here to go into the locker rooms.
This is locker rooms
and
downstairs.
they can come right in
things.
directly without going in through the building around the front.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Cal, you can think of you'd like to cover? We're just about finished there, and we're running out of tape in our 2 hours. It's been a pleasure for me, and I know for Calvin. If the weather had been a little bit warmer, it'd been okay with me. We could have been maybe. My hands are getting cold out here. And Roland, thank you for your time. And anything you can think of you want to add before we close out?
We covered pretty well.
Okay.
Just one thing, Bob. It should be pointed out that everything you've just seen here is all bought and paid for by the golf club and supported by them, and there's no other income used to run this place other than it's generated by the members and the public.
Right. Now, I assume that these are being paid for by monthly payments and things like that on most of this equipment?
The
Anything you
equipment
buy
is bought
new?
on time and
On
whatever.
time?
You know, we look at financing.
Mortgage on your property, building?
Yes, we still have a mortgage. It's run like any other business, and we run it like a business. And it's run. That's why there is a 7-member board. They take this very serious. I've served on a number of boards, and it's a very sincere group of people who run the business from day to day.
Do you have general meetings where all the members can attend? Do you ever have a yearly meeting?
Yes, there's an annual meeting held every year during October.
Second
excuse me,
Saturday in October or something.
Yes, okay, and that's where all the major items are brought up or whatever. Otherwise, the board meets kind of once a month type thing, and on any other special times that are needed.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim, for your time and efforts on our behalf here and for all the people out there, and we hope you've enjoyed this. And stop in. You don't have to be a member to play golf. Stop in and have a hamburger or a full meal, have a drink, and say hello to these people when you're here and tell them how nice their grounds look. Don't forget, whenever you go by, this is the guy who's in charge. He don't do the work. You saw who did the work, but he tells them what to do. And here, it keeps it nice out here. And thank you very much, Roland and Dennis. We hope we see you. Nice seeing you again.
Thanks for coming on.
Sure. All right. You're watching Hometown Cable. The program is called What's Going On Here. Every Sunday night, and our times are 1:15, 4:30, 8 p.m., midnight, 8 the following morning. That's for this program, but the other 6 days, same times, board meetings, ball games, anything happening in our area. And if you've got something you'd like to have covered, or you have any suggestions, call Calvin. He'll try to work it in. Sometimes he gets called awfully late and can't make it because he's already tied up. So give him a little bit of lead time. Calvin don't have much time off. He enjoys doing it, or he wouldn't be here, but he can't do it with nothing. If you're not already a patron, become one. $12 or more for this type of a program, and we think you'll get your money's worth out of it. He's not being paid by New Channel or anybody else. It's just through his advertising and people like yourself who like this kind of program. Thanks much for watching. Bob Venn saying, tune in next week.